A single golden ginkgo leaf fell softly onto the old brick road. Just like that, autumn had officially arrived in Beijing. Picture this with me. 1970. I wake up shivering, massive headache, and absolutely nothing makes sense. I totally remembered falling asleep with the heater running, but there was zero heating. No modern apartment either. Just a tiny, cramped room deep inside an old Beijing alleyway. Then, the unfamiliar memories hit. Like a massive flood, I had completely crossed over, traveling back to 1970 into the body of a 16-year-old boy sharing my exact name, Zhao Mun. This version of me had it rough. His mother passed away giving birth. At age 3, his dad, Zhao Kai, married a woman named Yang. Just 1 year later, they had a son together. My half-brother, Zhao Hao, the original Zhao Muyun, got into a street fight helping a friend. He took a heavy club straight to the back of his head. He collapsed onto his bed and never woke up again. That is exactly when I took his place. From my East Wing room, I clearly heard my dad and stepmother arguing loudly in the main house. She desperately wanted to send me away. The government urged youth to work in rural villages. As an official's kid, I was completely expected to step up and lead by example. My father refused. He already felt completely guilty about my mother passing away. He could not bear sending me to suffer, but my stepmother had her own selfish reasons. Watch closely here. If my departure was delayed 2 years, her son Hao goes instead. She could not let that happen. I rubbed the sore spot on my head. There was honestly no point fighting this anymore. I walked straight into the main house. Dad, I am going to the neighborhood office to sign up. My father shot to his feet. Absolutely not. I stayed entirely calm. Why not? They want educated youth in the countryside. As an official's son, I should set the example. I glanced right at my stepmother. If I refuse to go, will you force my little brother to go? He is only 12. My stepmother's eyes practically sparkled. She rushed over, smiling brightly. Mun, do you really mean it? I mean what I say, I replied. Dad's eyes grew red. His voice shook with heavy emotion. Son, I completely failed you. I failed to protect your mom, and now you. I gently patted his arm. Do not talk like that, Dad. I'm just checking exactly what I need to prepare. Over at the neighborhood office, the counter worker looked genuinely impressed. Not many young people volunteer lately. You have got some real spirit. So, where do you want to go? Shaanxi or Heilongjiang province? I thought fast. Shaanxi was simply too dry and harsh. People there sometimes could not even get water, let alone food. Heilongjiang was completely different. Sure, those winters were absolutely brutal, but the black soil was incredibly rich and fertile. Work hard, you never go hungry. Plus, the forests were packed with super useful things. Heilongjiang, I replied, without any hesitation. I confidently filled out the form and handed it back. The worker mentioned the next group leaves in about 2 months, and someone would definitely notify me when it was time. You know exactly what happens next, right? Handing over that form, something insanely strange triggered. A super clear chime rang inside my head. Ding! A robotic voice followed. Congratulations, host. The Heaven Rewards Diligence system is officially activated. A starter gift pack is included. Please collect it at your earliest convenience. I kept my face totally still. I did not let the worker notice a thing. But inside, my heart was pounding. I decided to figure it all out at home. By the time I finally walked through the courtyard gate, it was already noon. My stepmother stepped out of the kitchen, apron on, flashing warm smiles. Muin, go wash up. Lunch is ready. I made all your absolute favorites today. Braised eggplant, sweet and sour pork, and that sweet egg custard you always begged for as a kid. Thanks, I simply replied. My little brother Hao came happily bouncing out, looking up with huge, bright eyes. Big brother, you are back. I reached over, playfully ruffling his hair. Yeah. My dad quietly walked out of the main room and sat down, an unlit cigarette spinning right between his fingers. He looked at me with something heavy in his eyes, something I could not name. Stop standing around, he finally said quietly. Sit down and eat before the food gets cold. Honestly, lunch was incredibly awkward. My stepmother nervously fidgeted with her chopsticks, constantly glancing at my dad, clearly wanting to speak but holding back. My dad noticed, his brow furrowing deep, but right before he spoke, I confidently set down my bowl. Dad, I have already signed up over at the neighborhood office. Our youth group leaves in 2 months. I specifically chose Heilongjiang. Heilongjiang? His frown deepened. That is so far. Was there nowhere closer? Only 2 choices, Heilongjiang or Shangxi. My little brother Hao looked up from his warm rice bowl, eyes wide, cheeks fully stuffed. Big brother, is not Heilongjiang super freezing cold? I heard your ears can literally freeze off in winter. I calmly glanced at him, smiling a little. Probably. Yeah. My dad let out a heavy sigh and said nothing else. Stepmother acts so sweet and helpful. Stick around. You and I are definitely going to love watching her. Karma. I will go buy fabric today to sew Mu thick coats. He will not freeze, I swear it. His father just waved a hand weakly in response. Let's dive in. With nothing else to do, our guy headed straight back to his room in the East Wing after dinner. He locked the door, double-checked it, and sat on his bed with his heart totally pounding. He called out in his mind, "System, are you there?" Silence. Absolutely nothing. He tried again, super politely this time. "System? Grandpa?" Still nothing. "Dad?" Complete dead silence. He collapsed back on the bed, groaning hard. What kind of garbage system was this? Was he just hallucinating? Absolutely no way. He heard that chime clear as day. Plus, there was definitely something brand new parked inside his brain. He thought hard for a minute and then it clicked. The starter gift pack. He sat up and focused. Open the starter pack. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have just received 1 portable storage space. He nearly screamed out loud. Deep inside his mind, he could actually feel it. A massive empty zone just waiting to be filled. But that huge excitement quickly faded into frustration. So, this system only talks when it actually wants to. He called out a dozen times but got completely ignored. How was he supposed to figure out how this storage space worked? The second that thought crossed his mind, a glowing blue holographic screen popped up right in front of his eyes. Crisp text, laid out perfectly. Host stats. His physical score was only a 6. The average adult was 10. His mental stat was 12, slightly above average. Then came a list of skills. All of it carried over from his past life. Driving level 3. Cooking level 2. Computer skills level 1. Bajikan martial arts level 1 with 87% proficiency. And 12 road tan kicks level 1 with only 11%. Even things he half learned from watching random videos were recorded. Now pay attention here. Rubbing his chin, he realized the heaven reward system meant everything he practiced actually mattered. Epic, right? He grinned. Alright then, let's see if training actually drops experience points. He shoved the table and chair aside, cleared some space in his tiny room, and dropped into a solid horse stance. Shoulders down, fists raised, he began the opening form of his Bajikan martial arts. Elbow strikes slicing through the air, fists drawn back like embracing a massive mountain. The exact instant he finished the first move, ding. Bajikan experience 1. His eyes lit up, throwing himself into it harder. Palm strikes whistling through air, knee sweeps kicking up dust, elbow drops as steady as stone, wrist locks fast as actual lightning. System chimes went off like crazy. Firecrackers. Ding. Bajikan experience 1. Ding. Bajikan experience 1. Ding. Bajikan experience 1. It was entirely addictive. He kept going for 30 minutes straight, powering through the entire set before finally stopping to catch his breath. He pulled up his stats. His Bajikan had officially jumped to level 2. 5% proficiency, 18 experience points in just 1 session. Then something even stranger happened. A warm current rose from deep in his core, flowing through his entire body, arms, legs, fingers, and toes. The heavy muscle soreness melted away like he had just sunk into a hot spring. Every single pore relaxed. At the same time, a rush of knowledge flooded his head. All those tiny details he never quite understood from watching tutorial videos. Like how to channel power directly from the waist into an elbow strike. How to keep fists coiled and ready. How to make a palm chop incredibly fast and precise. How to keep your base totally solid during a sweep. It all clicked into place, like it was carved into his bones. He raised his arm and threw a powerful palm chop. You saw that speed and sharpness, right? Slapping his thigh, he laughed out loud. This cheat system was absolutely incredible. Once he finally caught his breath, he turned his full attention to the storage space. He grabbed a rough ceramic teacup off the table and focused his mind. Store it. Nothing happened. The cup just sat there. He frowned, then tried holding the teacup in his hand and concentrating again. In a blink, his hand was totally empty. The cup had completely vanished. He reached out with his mind and looked inside the space. There it was, the little cup, sitting all alone in that massive empty space, chipped rim and all. He thought, come out, and just like magic, the little teacup popped right back into his hand with a soft tap. After 15 minutes of testing, he had it all figured out. Anything he was physically touching, he could send straight into the storage space with just a thought. He could check what was inside at any time using his mind, and pull things back out just as easily. He ran his finger along the chipped edge of the teacup and smiled to himself. With this incredible system and the storage space, going to the countryside was going to be a totally different game. He knew exactly what life down there meant. Backbreaking farm work, earning points just to get a handful of grain. Never quite enough to fill your belly. But now, he had the massive storage space. He needed to start stockpiling supplies before he left. Food, fresh meat, medicine, literally whatever he could get his hands on. Plus, there was unfinished business. The guy who clubbed the original Muyun over the head. He was definitely not getting away with it. He is no pushover. In his past life, he grew up an orphan, clawing his way through the dark bottom of society. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. If someone hits him, he hits back. But first, strength. Soon, the food got noticeably better. Trust me, you and I are going to love this. Daily buns, eggs, even meat stew. My stepmother was absolutely thrilled. Since I finally agreed to leave, her worries vanished. So she happily fed me like crazy before shipping me off. I stayed incredibly busy. Way before dawn, I would stuff 2 buns in my pocket and sneak off to a hidden tree grove right outside the city limits. I trained my raw power there. 12 road tan kicks for pure speed, grinding for hours. One morning, right before I headed out, my dad suddenly stopped me, totally silent. He pulled a brown paper envelope out and shoved it right into my hand. His fingers were shaking slightly. Take this, he whispered. You are leaving soon. Go have fun. Buy whatever you want. Do not hold back. I squeezed the envelope. It felt seriously thick. I did not refuse. Thanks, Dad, I replied with a big grin. Go on. He waved me away, though his eyes showed deep sadness. He could not hide. Slipping around the corner, I found a quiet spot and quickly tore that envelope open. Inside was a massive stack of bills. Ones, twos, fives, tens, 300 yuan total. In the 1970s, that equaled nearly a full year of wages for normal workers. Not bad, old man, I muttered, instantly sending the whole stack right into storage with just a single thought. I trained hard in the grove for 2 whole hours. Now watch this carefully. When I pulled up my system stats, my jaw completely dropped. My physical stats skyrocketed from 6 to 11. Jumping way past a normal adult. My 12 road tan kicks had already hit level 2. Something completely new popped up on the system panel. National Martial Arts. Visible Force. 10%. Suddenly, my fists felt incredibly sharp. My whole body hummed with pure strength. After training, skipped going home. I spent every single spare second hunting down the thugs from that street fight. One by one, I tracked their homes, crossing them off my list. None of them were the guy who swung that club. Tonight, I fully scoped out the textile factory housing area. Just another annoying dead end. My target was not there either. You can run, I muttered quietly. but you cannot hide forever. So I roamed the city streets instead, finally reaching a shady spot I had only heard rumors about. The underground black market, hidden safely on the outskirts, right against the woods. I tied a cloth tightly across my face and stepped up to the entrance. Two large men stepped out and fully blocked my path. Buying or selling? They asked. I stayed completely silent, just handing over a dime. Those were the street rules. 1 dime to buy, 2 to sell. Leave and come back? You just pay the fee all over again. The guard saw I knew the drill and let me pass. Inside, it was way busier than expected. Vendors lined the walls, goods scattered on rough cloth. Cornmeal, cured meat, sweet potatoes, rice, and even white flour. Some sellers sat empty-handed, eyes constantly scanning the crowd. I moved toward the back. Let us pause right here, because this next discovery is wild. Something absolutely caught my eye. A tiny corner stall displaying absolutely nothing except a thin stack of ancient books, carefully laid out on a faded blue cloth. I crouched down and started flipping through them. Treatise on cold damage, compendium of materia medica, essential prescriptions of the golden cabinet. Plus, there were a few incredible handwritten guides on identifying medicinal herbs. The brushstrokes were incredibly elegant. These were old, truly ancient. The seller was a guy in his 40s wearing a washed-out cotton shirt. He had this quiet, faded dignity to his face. Definitely not your typical black market peddler. I immediately sensed his family background was actually quite special. Tapping the books, I kept my voice super low. How much? I asked. He nervously glanced around. 5 yuan each. Too expensive, I stated flatly. 2 yuan each, and I take them all. Brother, that is way too low, he begged. He leaned in close. These are not cheap reprints. They are true originals. Possibly the last copies in existence. I raised one eyebrow. Originals? Last copies? And I am just supposed to take your word for it? He hesitated slightly, then blurted out. I will be honest with you. These were passed down. My ancestors were actually imperial physicians inside the royal palace. I just stared right at him, letting the heavy silence do the work. He squirmed around. Before he could talk, I spoke, totally unhurried. Even if your grandpa was a royal doctor, who is going to openly buy ancient books like these during such dangerous times? I might be the only guy willing to drop actual cash on them. I paused, letting my next words land perfectly. And if anyone found out you had these old books, that would not go well for you, right? His whole face went totally white. Bullseye. I hit the nerve I was aiming for. He let out a deep sigh. 2 yuan is honestly just too low. Can you not add a little? Not a single cent. I stood up as if to leave. 2 yuan each, and if you have more at home, I will happily buy those too. Take it or leave it. Wait. He grabbed my arm. Fine. You win. I will sell. He quickly gathered up all 8 books. I took them, and while faking, shoving them inside my bag, I secretly sent them straight into my dimensional storage space. I counted out 16 yuan and handed the bills over. His fingers were noticeably shaking as he safely tucked the money into his inner pocket. He quickly rolled up the blue cloth. Shall we get the rest? I checked the alley, then nodded. And guys, trust me, you and I are absolutely not ready for what happens next. Stick with me here. I trailed this mysterious guy for 30 minutes, weaving through shady alleys until hitting a totally beat-up courtyard. Crumbling brick walls everywhere. Patchwork clothes hung on messy lines above us, and the place just reeked of thick coal smoke. This way, he muttered, guiding me past sketchy doorways straight to a tiny, completely abandoned room hidden in the far back. He grabbed a rusty key, turned it twice, and shoved the door open. A dusty bulb flickered on. I stepped inside and glanced around. Totally empty. Just a table, 2 benches, and 2 dusty wooden chests hiding in the corner. I just smiled. I knew you weren't a regular vendor. You don't live here. It's storage. He sighed bitterly. You're clever, kid. I had 0 choices left, given the past few brutal years. I rented this spot to hide my family's last remaining treasures. If I don't sell, I starve. If they are heirlooms, why sell? I asked. He looked down. My family were doctors for generations, but the talent vanished by my dad's time. Neither of us had any medical gift. These books are totally useless to us. Right now, families like mine are just fighting to survive. Trust me, if I had another choice, I'd never sell my ancestors' legacy. I nodded. Let me see. His eyes lit up, throwing open a heavy chest. The scent of ancient ink hit me. I crouched down, flipping through them, my eyes growing wider with every single title. Now watch closely. Not just medical texts, martial arts manuals too. Tai Chi, a trigram palm, Shinji fist secrets, 8-step cicada footwork. My heart was racing. Even crazier, I found detailed editions of Beekwon and 12 road tan kicks. Way better than my memory. The absolute real deal. Proper lineage guides. Plus, books on few ancient Taoist texts, and journals packed with wild legends. Every single one was an absolute treasure. I counted roughly 170 books. I stood up. I'll buy everything, but I only have 300 yuan on me. If you trust me, I'll grab these today and bring the rest of the cash tomorrow morning. His eyes popped. You want everything? 300 is plenty. Take it all. Right now, this stuff just brings major trouble. Finding someone who actually appreciates their real value. I should be thanking my lucky stars. I handed over 300 yuan. He crouched, counted it 3 times, then safely tucked it inside his jacket. Frowning at the chests, he muttered, "But how will you carry all this?" "Super heavy." I pointed at his blue cloth. "Wrap them up. I'll carry the bundle on my back." We packed everything into a big bundle. I swung it onto my shoulder. With my upgraded stats, the weight felt like nothing. We walked out and parted ways at the alley. Once I hit an empty lane, I sent that massive bundle straight into my storage space with a single thought. Poof, gone. We just scored the ultimate cheat, all right? Home past midnight. I crept through the gate. Honestly, though, nobody in that house would ever care enough to scold me anyway. My dad just told me to stay safe whenever he saw me. My stepmom loved when I stayed out. I just collapsed onto my bed in the east wing. But sleep? Zero chance. My brain was buzzing with all the epic loot I scored today. Martial arts guides, medical secrets, Taoist texts. My training schedule was about to get super intense. Then reality punched me. I was completely broke. Every last yuan of that 300, gone. Just a few coins left. Not even breakfast money. But that black market? A pure treasure goldmine. If epic loot dropped, I couldn't buy it. I clenched my fists in the dark. Past life? Dirt poor orphan. I swore never again. Plus, I have a cheat system and storage space. If I stay broke now, what was even the point of reviving in this crazy world? Moving to the countryside soon meant life gets way harsher. Zero cash means zero safety net. Earning cash in this era? Normal guys make 30 yuan monthly. Getting rich honestly is a total joke. Staring at the ceiling, my gears started turning, and a seriously wild idea began taking shape. You ready for this? What if we pull off a massive black market heist first? Those vendors are shady smugglers anyway. They aren't innocent, and let's be real, neither am I. Trust me, surviving a past life makes you absolutely relentless. You and I know perfectly well that playing nice only ends up hurting you. The brilliant idea sparked instantly behind his eyes, getting sharper with every single passing minute. Waking up before dawn, he marched straight to Locust Grove, outside the city limits. This time, his training completely changed. He tossed out every old memory habit, strictly following the ancient martial manual step by step. Perfect shoulder alignment, deep breathing, twisting his waist to charge every single elbow strike, and concealing explosive power within every single dramatic palm chop. He polished and repeated each move until sweat poured down his face, making his whole body feel electric. Right after mastering Bajiquin, he jumped straight into 12 road kicks. Then came Tai Chi 8 trigram palm, Shinji fist, and the 8-step cicada footwork. Each ancient style felt totally unique. Tai Chi was super smooth. Shinji struck hard. 8 trigram palm felt completely wild and unpredictable. Half the day vanished before he even realized it. Pulling up his awesome system stats at noon brought a huge smile. His physical stat had rocketed to 13, way beyond any average normal adult. His martial arts realm hit visible force at 18%. Clenching his fist, he could truly feel that power. He was at least 30% stronger than before. His routine became a very steady rhythm. Morning training, afternoon information gathering, and hitting the underground market by night. Every single day followed those same 3 epic steps. An entire month flew by. Now watch closely. Crouching under a massive tree near the steel factory housing area, he finally spotted his target. The exact thug who struck the original Zhao Mun with a wooden club. He never knew his name. He was some factory troublemaker, wasting his days gambling and partying with shady friends. Always stumbling home completely wasted in the middle of the dark night. He shadowed the guy for 7 straight days, staying patient like a leopard, hiding in grass, and learning all his routes. But the guy was never alone, until one fateful night, he finally was. The narrow alley near the housing stood dim. The street lamp barely shined any light through those thick tree branches. He waited in deep shadows for hours, tightly gripping a smooth wooden club he crafted, exact same size and weight as the one used to hurt him. And steady footsteps echoed closer, carrying a strong scent of liquor. He hummed a terrible tune, swaying into the dark alleyway. Nobody followed him. Time to move. Thanks to weeks practicing that cicada footwork, his steps were totally silent, becoming a shadow glued to his back. I know what you are thinking. Payback time. Absolutely. Tonight, he finally returned that painful favor, gathering every single ounce of raw strength into his arm. He swung that heavy club down hard on the thug's head. A loud crack echoed through the empty alley. The club completely snapped. The guy staggered, holding his aching neck, and turned around with totally terrified eyes. His shaking finger pointed directly at him. You, who are you? He never even finished. His eyes rolled back, dropping to the dirt, completely out cold. He crouched down quickly, searching the guy's pockets without hesitation. His fingers grabbed a cloth pouch holding 85 yuan. Honestly, not bad. He pocketed the cash instantly, knowing he truly needed every single coin. Staring at the unconscious thug, he felt absolutely nothing. In this mysterious era, shady people vanished all the time and nobody asked questions. With one thought, he pulled the guy straight into his magical storage space. Once reaching the distant countryside, he would dump him in a remote ravine. Mother Nature and wild animals could effortlessly handle the rest of his problems. He dusted off his hands and vanished into the night. Over the next 7 days, something finally loosened inside him. That frustrating knot of anger vanished completely, making his training flow better than ever before. Every single punch and dramatic kick felt way sharper. His awesome stats climbed daily. Then one afternoon, somebody firmly knocked on the courtyard gate. He opened it, finding a neighborhood office worker holding a bright red paper notice. Comrade Joan, you will leave for the countryside in exactly 1 week. Here is your official notice. He mentioned a 250 yuan resettlement subsidy, but explained it wouldn't reach his hands directly. The funds were managed by the government, earmarked for building housing at the youth settlement, covering basic living expenses for the first 6 months to a year, buying farm tools and cookware, paying for the train journey to Heilongjiang, and keeping a small reserve for random medical emergencies. Everything was handled by the organization, zero pocket money allowed. He totally knew reality would probably fall short of the written policy, but there was zero point in worrying about that right now. He thanked the man, saw him off, and stood right in the doorway holding that official notice for a long time. 1 week, then he was heading to Hongyang. His epic life as a sent-down youth was about to begin for real. During dinner, he set down his chopsticks, speaking plainly. Dad, the neighborhood office stopped by today. I leave for Hongjiang in exactly 1 week. His father's chopsticks froze mid-air. That soon? The old man let out a heavy sigh. If I knew, I would have pushed harder, delaying it. We leave it here. Stay through the new year. His stepmother jumped in smoothly. Let's dive into this wild story. Cheng, policy is policy. Then she flashes me this totally fake smile. "Mun, do not worry. I've already made you 3 thick padded coats and 2 new quilts stuffed full of cotton. You won't freeze up north, I promise." My father looks at her, quietly asking how much savings we had left. Not missing a single beat, she walks to the back room and marches right out with the fat brown envelope. She drops it right onto the table. "Here, for you. 1,000 yuan, 50 jin of national grain coupons, and some industrial vouchers. This way, you will have something to get by on." Back then, that was enough wealth for a normal family to live comfortably for years. My father's tense face finally softens a little. He nods at her. "You did well." I take the envelope without making a fuss. "Thank you, Auntie." But I was not fooled. She was not giving me this cash out of love. She was buying me off, paying to make sure I never returned, so her precious Zhao could stay perfectly safe in the city without a worry. To her, 1,000 yuan was a massive bargain. Back in my room, I immediately checked my stats. After more than a month of absolutely relentless training, the progress was crystal clear. My physical stat hit 18, nearly double what it was when I first started out. My visible force realm was sitting at 98%. Every single martial art I practiced had hit level 3, but the gains were slowing down. Every new point was getting harder to earn. It was finally time to execute the real plan. That night, wearing dark clothes, I pull my cap low over my face and silently slip out toward the black market. I had been scouting there every evening for weeks and knew the entire layout like the back of my hand. Now pay attention. I had been watching a specific spot, a small courtyard in a quiet alley next to the market. That exact spot was where the black market bosses stored their most valuable goods. 5 incredibly strong guys guarded it in shifts around the clock. My plan was simple. Wait until the middle of the night when those guards get drowsy, then completely clean the whole place out. I hide in the shadows outside the brick wall and wait for hours. The air turns freezing cold. Finally, the faintest gray light creeps into the sky. The guards start dropping. 3 of them completely give up and just go inside to sleep. The last 2 sit by the gate, heads drooping, eyelids heavy, their wooden clubs tapping the ground in a lazy rhythm. Now I move like a ghost. 1 light push off the wall, and I am over it, landing inside without making a single sound. Not even a leaf was disturbed. The massive storage room sits in the corner of the yard, locked tight with the heavy brass padlock. I do not even bother picking it. One thought, and the lock simply vanishes right into my storage space. I ease the door open a crack and peek inside. My breath catches. Can you believe this? It was an absolute goldmine. Sacks of white flour and cornmeal piled high against one wall. Dried sweet potatoes stacked in massive heaps. Cured meat and dried fish hanging right from the wooden rafters. Bolts of fabric, bales of cotton, blocks of sweet brown sugar in the corners. Plus crates of cigarettes, liquor, and tea. All of it is stuff money alone could not buy in this era. I do not waste a single second. Standing right there in the doorway, I reach out with my mind and pull literally everything into my magical storage space. Item after item, massive pile after pile. In just minutes, the entire room is completely stripped bare. Not a single grain of cornmeal left on the floor. I smoothly slip back over the wall and melt into the morning fog as if I had never even been there. When those 5 sleepy guards finally wake up and find the storeroom completely empty, they absolutely lose their minds. They sit on the ground, staring at each other, pale as actual ghosts. They know exactly what this meant. When the bosses found out, they would be completely finished. So, they do the only thing they can. They quickly pack their things and run, vanishing without a trace. By the time the black market boss finally heard what happened, days had already passed. He is absolutely furious, totally convinced. Those 5 guards stole everything and fled. He sends his people all over the city to hunt them down. But after weeks of endless searching, not a single clue turns up. Eventually, the whole crazy situation just fades away. Nobody ever suspected the real thief. I get back to my room in the pitch black night, collapse onto the bed without even taking off my clothes, and pass out cold. Even with my improved body, that kind of wild night really takes it out of you. I do not wake up until 3 or 4 in the afternoon. My stomach is absolutely growling fiercely. I find 2 leftover buns in the kitchen, wash them down with some water, and sit at the table to think. The haul from last night was unbelievable. My storage space is packed like a mountain with supplies. Enough to live completely comfortably in Hongshan for years, but I am still short on actual money. Supplies are great, but in this wild era, you always need cash and hard currency on hand, whether you live in the city or the countryside. I cannot pull another crazy stunt like the black market raid though. That was a totally lawless place where nobody ever dug too deep. But robbing someone's home? If they were important, the investigation would be incredibly serious. Then an idea hits me. Stick with me here. Beijing is an ancient capital. When the Qing dynasty fell, it left behind countless noble families, princes, and their descendants scattered everywhere. I had read in books from my past life that those old aristocratic families loved building hidden vaults beneath their massive mansions to safely store their gold and silver, keeping it perfectly safe through wars and total chaos. Come along with me. For 4 days, I searched half the old Beijing neighborhoods. I snuck into abandoned estates, former royal mansions, old official homes, even a crumbling princess palace, but every single place was exactly the same. Either someone had already looted it dry or there was absolutely nothing left. Not one single coin. I was honestly losing all hope. But then, on the 5th evening, I wandered down this super narrow unknown alley. At the very end sat a massive courtyard compound. Those red doors? Completely sealed shut with thick rust. Weeds completely choked the entrance, and half the roof tiles had totally caved in. But look at those gate carvings. Qing Dynasty royal style. The exact kind only a true prince could ever use. My heart started racing. I hopped over a broken section of the back wall and landed inside. The yard? An absolute jungle of wild grass, taller than me, with smashed pillars and tiles everywhere. I marched straight toward the exact spots where old legends say rich families hid vaults. Behind fancy rock gardens, near spirit walls, right under trees. Right behind the rock garden in the main courtyard, I spotted a loose stone slab. The cracks were totally packed with dust. Now pay attention here. I crouched down and pulled hard. That slab easily weighed over 100 pounds, but with my upgraded strength, absolute child's play. Underneath was a dark hole, breathing out damp air and old copper smells. I lit a match and climbed down the stone steps. The underground room was super tiny, maybe 10 square meters. Lined up neatly were over a dozen huge redwood chests, all sealed with yellowed strips covered in ancient Manchu writing. I pried the first one open. Pure gold. The entire thing was absolutely packed with heavy, palm-sized gold bars. The legendary kind old-timers called big yellow fish. I cracked open the next chest. More gold. And the next? Every single one was completely overflowing with gold. I did not even bother counting. I dragged every last chest straight into my storage space. Gold, boxes, absolutely everything. I quickly sealed that stone slab right back up, dusted my hands off, and vanished from the compound like a ghost. Walking home through that dark alley, I practically felt like flying. Food, supplies, cash, and gold. I literally had everything. All I needed was to wait 2 more days. I spent that final time just chilling quietly at home, resting up. No more intense training, only waiting. On the morning of my departure, my family actually came to the station. My dad stood there, trying super hard not to cry, eyes totally red. He reached for my shoulder, then hesitated. "Be careful in Hanjiang," he said, his voice shaking. "Take care of yourself. If things get rough, write to me. I will figure it out. I will be fine, Dad. You look after yourself too." My stepmother just stood there, flashing a fake polite smile. Safe travels. Not one single drop of sadness in her eyes, only pure relief. Meanwhile, oh brother happily bounced around, totally oblivious. "You and I know the real truth here." I just turned and walked away, carrying my tiny backpack and cloth bag. Just some basic clothes and those padded coats my stepmother made, strictly for show. All my real treasure was safely hidden inside my storage space. The whole station was completely packed with families crying and youths heading to the countryside. I squeezed onto the green train, scoring a lucky window seat, and immediately shoved my heavy bag right underneath. Sitting down, I watched the crowded platform slowly slide away. 5 whole days stuck on this train to Hongshan. A window seat to chill and watch the world roll by. Not a bad start at all. The train whistle blasted loud. I pushed the window open, leaning out to wave at my dad. "Go home, Dad. Do not just stand there." He kept yelling endless reminders. My stepmom waved with this fake smile that completely missed her eyes. Little Zhao was just hanging on the rails, staring at the train with pure wonder. The train finally started moving, and their shapes shrank smaller and smaller until they completely vanished. I shut the window and settled in. Before long, 3 random people walked down the aisle, sitting right across from me. You could instantly tell they were sent down. Youths just like me. Faded cotton clothes and simple canvas bags. The guy right across was super thin and pale, maybe 20 years old, with a total bookworm vibe. Beside him sat 2 young women around the same age, whispering like lifelong besties. One had super soft, gentle features and a cute dimple. The other had super lively, bright eyes. 2 more girls quickly grabbed the seats next to me. Both had that pure, simple look you only find in this era. Zero makeup, just totally natural faces radiating an honest, fresh vibe. The car filled up incredibly fast. Loud chatter, crashing luggage, and then the steady rhythm of heavy wheels on tracks as we officially headed north. The trio across from me started talking first. The guy stayed quiet, but those 2 girls were chatting super easily. "What do you and I make of this?" All 4 girls became instant besties, heads together, whispering and giggling. I just smiled, thinking to myself how amazing girls are. One tiny sentence, and they become instant best friends. Stick with me here, having literally nothing better to do. I casually grabbed a basic Chinese medicine textbook. A super common book, totally safe for public reading. Meanwhile, that super rare black market medical text stayed safely hidden way down inside my secret storage space. I barely finished 2 pages before the cheerful guy sitting across from me suddenly asked if I studied medicine. Before I could even answer, he smiled warmly. "I am licking, heading straight to Hongjian." The girl beside him chimed in with a super gentle voice, introducing herself as Su Jingshu, alongside her younger sister, Su Qing Ru. Another cheerful girl spoke up, explaining they were all from the exact same steel factory area as Licking. Then my seatmates happily joined the conversation. The lively girl on my left was super loud and energetic. "I am Wang Jing. My entire family works at the textile factory." The quiet girl on my right softly said she was Yang Ling from the East District. Suddenly, everyone looked at me expectantly. I just said my name, Mun, and went back to reading, but turning the page, my system suddenly chimed. Ding. Traditional Chinese medicine experience, +1. Ding. Traditional Chinese medicine experience, +1. Ding. Medicine experience, +1. Watch closely now. While the sweet system notifications spammed my mind, I kept a perfect poker face, secretly listening to absolutely everything around me. I quietly pieced together everyone's background from their chatter. Licking was exactly 21. His dad supervised the steel plant. For the Su sisters, Jing Shu was 21, while cheerful little Qing Ru was only 19. Their family sent both girls to the countryside so their younger brother could comfortably stay in the city. 19-year-old Wang Jing was definitely the loudest, most energetic one there. 20-year-old Yang Ling came from a cadre family, with both parents working government jobs. Around noon, the delicious smell of homemade food filled the train car. Everyone happily dug into their bags for lunch. I watched quietly, easily, reading each family's unique situation just from their packed meals. Yang Ling opened a beautiful floral lunchbox. 2 boiled eggs, 2 perfectly fluffy white buns, and some pickled cucumbers on the side. A wealthy cadre family. You could totally tell right away. Licking had crispy sesame mixed corn pancakes, along with 2 delicious salted duck eggs carefully stored inside a simple glass jar. The Sioux sisters happily shared steamed mixed flour buns, pairing them with thinly sliced pickled radish, playfully tied up with a bright red string. Wang Jing casually dumped her bag out without hesitation. 3 thick buckwheat pancakes, a salted duck egg, and some pickled veggies wrapped in oil paper. My mom feared I would go hungry. She mumbled through a massive bite. These are totally built to last. Honestly, everyone had pretty much the same stuff. Let that sink in for a second. Just basic flatbreads for working families. While Yongling's pure wheat buns completely stood out, I grabbed 2 simple white buns my stepmother had tossed in, plus a tiny bit of tasty pickled mustard greens I prepared all by myself. Nothing super fancy. I ate peacefully by the window, keeping quiet. Jing Shu noticed my plain meal and warmly offered her salted egg. Mun, try this. Mom made them, and they are incredibly oily and super delicious. I gently shook my head. No, thanks. This is plenty. She smiled sweetly and packed it away without pushing. We ate lunch in the stuffy car, watching beautiful fields roll past the windows while casually trading a few friendly words here and there. It had that amazingly warm feeling of friendly people sharing a long journey together. The days quickly blurred together on that train. The constant clatter of train wheels literally became my life soundtrack. Outside, vibrant green farmland slowly shifted into vast, empty plains with yellow dust wildly whipping right past our windows. I remained the absolute quietest person in our car. I barely moved from my comfy window seat, using my arm as a pillow when tired, and happily reading my books whenever I felt awake. The other 5 chatted endlessly, swapping fun home stories and excitedly guessing what Hongjiang would actually be like. When tired, they would comfortably lean against each other and nap, totally carefree. Their packed food did not survive so perfectly though. By the 2nd and 3rd day, the flatbread turned rock solid, the buns grew super stale, and those salted eggs completely lost their amazing flavor. Yongling cleverly warmed her eggs using hot water from the kettle between cars, but honestly, that was the absolute best anyone could possibly manage. None of that was a problem for me at all. My magical storage space kept everything flawlessly fresh. Warm buns stayed perfectly warm, and the braised meat stayed incredibly tender. I just had to be extremely careful, waiting until everyone fell completely asleep or got distracted. I would quietly pull fresh food out, eat incredibly fast, and hide it. Nobody ever noticed a thing. When I had a free moment, I checked my stats. Trust me on this one, my visible force realm hit 99%, just one tiny step from a massive breakthrough. My awesome medical skills had crept up too, though super slowly. Reading that super basic textbook could honestly only take me so far. Real progress required those legendary old medical classics and actual hands-on practice. Finishing the first book, I casually pulled out another incredibly common, normal medical guide. Totally innocent. Stick with me here, because this journey gets wild. System chimes ticked in my head while reading. Such Ching Ru sat right across from me now, staring with super curious eyes. At some point, they had swapped seats. Ling gave the sisters the window spots for better sleep, putting Ching Ru directly across from me. Wang Jing and Yang Ling were totally eyeing my window seat too, silently hoping I would generously trade places. No way. I loved my spot, and giving it up just to be polite was absolutely not happening. Did you finish that other book? She asked. Yeah. Mind if I borrow it? I'm so bored I could scream. We have talked about literally everything already. Sure thing. I handed her the heavy medical textbook. She grabbed it like it was some incredible prize. She buried her face in those pages with a massive, happy grin. Ling suddenly leaned over. Got any more books I could maybe borrow? Just these 2 right here, I said, holding up the one in my hand. And I am still reading this. He caught the hint and casually leaned back. 1 minute later, he was snoring loudly. Days crawled by. Ching Ru just read quietly. The train hummed its endless rhythm, while the empty plains outside stretched forever toward the great unknown. Finally, on day 5, the speeding train started slowing down. A loud whistle pierced the air. We made it. Shuangke County, Hongyang Province. The whole car erupted. Everyone jolted awake, loudly stretching and groaning about their stiff joints. Suching pressed her face against the glass. We are here. We really made it. She scrambled wildly for her bag until her sister calmly grabbed her hand, telling her to just breathe. Wang Jing stretched her arms super wide, announcing in her loud, booming voice. Finally, 5 days on this thing. My bones feel crushed. I tucked the handbook away and followed the massive crowd straight toward the exit door. Now watch this. The second those doors cracked open, the Hongjiang wind blasted us, biting cold, completely different from Beijing. Everyone hunched their shoulders, shivering hard. It is absolutely freezing. Qingru hugged herself, pulling her winter jacket super tight. And this was only the beginning. Ling walked right beside the sisters, taking the heavy bag directly from Jingshu. He glanced my way. Need help with yours? Nope. My bag weighed basically nothing compared to the insane strength my body could handle. Now, I stepped off the train right ahead of them. We stood on that platform, freezing concrete below us, low brick buildings all around. And beyond that, an endless stretch of land under the widest, bluest sky ever. The wind whipped through our hair, cutting straight through our thin clothes. The other youths tightly clutched their bags, staring at this strange new world with pure confusion and nervous energy written all over their faces. I just looked around calmly, scanning the whole platform until I finally spotted the commune. Workers holding up signs for us. You feeling that excitement too? Zero fear. Hello, Longjiang. I made it. The real, epic journey was finally starting. Train doors opened wide, and over 300 young people poured onto the platform, bags in hand. That freezing Heilongjiang wind cutting right through us. The air smelled intensely of dirt and wild grass, nothing like Beijing. Along the platform, workers in thick padded coats held up red-painted wooden signs, shouting loudly in heavy local dialect. Border Commune, gather right here. Xinqing Commune, heading this way. Pine Tree Valley Commune, where is Pine Tree Valley? Suching spotted our sign first. Right there, Pine Tree Valley, that is us. She grabbed her sister and pointed excitedly. Lying nodded. Let us get moving. I picked up my bag, following behind. My assignment. Notice definitely said Pine Tree Valley too. Su Jingshu noticed me and smiled warmly. You are heading to Pine Tree Valley as well? Yeah, I replied. Wang Jing and Yang Ling were sadly heading to different communes. Wang Jing playfully slapped Qingru on the shoulder before leaving. Take good care out there. At least you have got 3 completely familiar faces. We said our final goodbyes, watching them walk off. About 26 more young people gathered around our commune sign, bringing our total group to 30. The man leading us was a massive guy, around 40, sporting a thick beard and a booming voice loud as a gong. He counted heads, then barked loud. Pine Tree Valley, all 30 accounted for. No dawdling. Follow me. Outside the station, an open-top tractor waited on a dirt road. Its iron flatbed was wiped clean, yet still streaked with mud. Everybody on. The bearded giant shouted loudly. Squeeze in. It is a long ride. The sooner we leave, the sooner we arrive. We all climbed in, bags clanging hard against enamel cups and wooden boxes. The flatbed was absolutely packed. Elbows bumping elbows, legs pressed tight, zero room to move. Qingru stumbled while boarding, but Lin caught her arm, then quickly helped Jingshu lift her heavy bag right into the corner. I found a secure spot near the side rail, one hand tightly gripping the edge, the other holding my bag. Super steady on my feet, despite the tractor lurching wildly, I glanced around at the other youths. Most were only around 20. Their faces showed a mix of pure nervousness and excitement. Mine showed nothing. I just watched that winding dirt road and trust me, you and I are about to see this real chapter unfold. The engines violently sputtered to life with thick black smoke, and we rattled off down the bumpy road, kicking up yellow dust. This ride was completely brutal. Stick with me here, because this wild ride is just getting started. Every massive bump threw us around, while freezing winds absolutely blasted our tired faces. Nothing but endless fields and bare trees. Pretty soon, everyone just held on for dear life. My spine is breaking, King whined, totally exhausted. She slumped against her sister, messy hair blowing everywhere. Are we there yet? Jingshu patted her shoulder. Almost there. Stay strong. Licking actually laughed. Hey, it beats being stuck on that cramped train all day. At least hot meals wait for us at the commune. Honestly, I was the only one not stumbling. My feet felt completely locked onto that rattling floorboard. I watched the sun drop low. The glowing orange light faded fast, turning the forest into deep shadows. We were definitely close now. 30 minutes later, that loud, clunky tractor finally rolled to a heavy stop right in the middle of an open dirt lot. We finally made it. Pine Tree Valley Commune. Everyone out. A bearded guy hopped down instantly. Grab your gear. Leave absolutely nothing behind. Form up in 3 lines. Time to get sorted into your actual work squads. We piled out, rubbing our bruised legs and snatching our bags. Someone almost crushed another kid's luggage. One guy panicked over a lost cup. Finally, all 30 of us managed to form 3 very messy, uneven lines. Standing way in the back, I scanned the area. Just a few basic mud brick houses bunched closely together. A super faded wooden sign proudly displayed the commune name. 2 totally beaten up benches sat outside, next to some ancient, towering trees scattered across the dusty front yard. The main wooden door loudly creaked open, and several people finally stepped outside. Leading the pack was a sharp-looking guy in a faded suit, hair perfectly combed, holding a thick notebook. Definitely the boss around here. Trailing behind were 12 tough-looking men with sun-baked skin and completely calloused hands. A few were even gripping heavy wooden tools. Others kept tobacco pouches stuffed into their belts, their rugged clothes covered in thick dust. These guys clearly worked the tough fields all year long. I instantly realized they were the actual squad leaders from the local farming brigades, showing up to claim their freshly assigned teenage workers. The leader up front loudly cleared his throat. Welcome to the commune, comrades. I am Deputy Secretary Wang, and right behind me, these are your new farming squad leaders. I will call your names now. Once you hear yours, step forward and follow your assigned team leader immediately. Got it? Understood. All 30 of us yelled back. Our voices were completely exhausted, eyes nervously glued to that important notebook he held. Now, pay close attention here. Wang opened that massive book, and instantly, the entire crowd went completely silent. We stared at the pages, literally holding our breath. Zhang to the main valley squad. Names echoed through the quiet yard. Whenever someone was called, they nervously stepped up and dragged their feet over, sneaking quick peeks at their new boss. The rest of us, just squeezing our bag straps harder with every single shout. King Ru nervously pulled her sister's jacket. Why are we taking so long? I seriously hope we get placed with Licking. Then it finally happened. Licking to Revival Squad. Here, he shouted, glancing our way. Jingshu, also to Revival Squad. King Ru, Revival Squad. Here, she excitedly pumped her tiny fist in pure relief. And finally, Zhao Muyun to Revival Squad. Present, I confidently replied. We locked eyes. Same squad. We both saw that lucky twist coming. Once all 30 names finished, Wang fully handed us over. Take your workers home. We do not have any dinner prepared here today. Your individual teams will feed you. Hurry up before night falls completely. A few of the teenagers stood there looking totally, absolutely shocked. Zero welcome banquet? But honestly, stranded in nowhere, feeding 30 hungry teens was impossible. No one dared to actually complain out loud. Our new boss was this tough, sun-baked guy named Lu. He marched right up and barked in a super gravelly voice, Revival Squad. Licking, Jingshu, King Ru, and Muyun. Get over here now. We rushed to his side. He gave us a quick scan and showed a massive smile. 4 kids. Nice and simple. I am your leader, Lu. We trailed behind him along a terrible dirt path for 5 solid minutes. Finally, we spotted an ancient ox hooked to a tiny wooden cart piled high with completely dry straw. Next to it, an older guy puffed on a pipe. "Your ride is here," Lou joked, pulling aside the hay. "The cart is small. 2 can sit, 2 gotta walk. You decide." I instantly jumped in first. "Let the girls ride. I will walk." Licking agreed immediately. "Yeah, you girls sit down. This road is terrible. We can easily handle walking the rest of the way." Jingshu whispered a quick thanks. King Ru beamed happily, shaking her small bag. "Thanks so much, guys." I casually waved it away. With my upgraded physical strength, a long walk was literally nothing. Plus, bouncing on that creaky wooden cart with busted wheels would honestly hurt way worse than just using my feet. Licking hovered around, making sure both sisters were totally comfortable, moving luggage and flattening the rough straw for a much softer ride. Staring at his actions, I was absolutely convinced that he and Jingshu were definitely a secret couple. "You and I know that wasn't just casual neighborly politeness." Qingru called him Ingji, so naturally, her family definitely knew everything. Lu introduced the old man, holding a pipe, as Old Chun, the village ox cart driver. "Come along with me. If you need to haul grain or grab commune supplies, Old Chun is your man." Old Chun tapped his pipe, smiling brightly. "Just yell if you need help." "Hello, Uncle Chun," we cheerfully replied. Old Chun flicked the reins. The ox grunted, and the cart slowly creaked forward along the dusty dirt road. Licking and I walked alongside. Lu leaned on the cart railing and joked, "Honestly, walking might be way faster than this. The dirt road is so rough. The ox just takes its time. But the cart is amazing for hauling things. Once heavy winter snow hits up here, it can literally bury you to your knees. You cannot carry anything back on foot alone. Everything travels by ox cart." He paused, looking up. "Snow is late this year. It usually piles up right after the cold season. We are almost at frost descent, and we only got light flurries. But listen, when winter snow arrives late, it hits incredibly hard. You guys better ensure the youth settlement has plenty of firewood and grain saved up before that happens." I enthusiastically asked a few more questions while walking. The Sioux sisters happily chimed in from the moving cart. The evening wind felt super chilly, but the awkwardness between us strangers was finally fading away. Step by step, we slowly made our way toward Revival Brigade, excited for whatever awaited us. It was pitch black outside by the time our ox cart finally halted at a dusty crossroad. Now pay attention. 2 bumpy hours later, we had finally arrived. "This is Revival Village," Team Leader Lu cheerfully announced, jumping down and brushing off dust. He pointed at some rustic mud brick buildings near the hill. "The youth settlement sits westward, neatly separated from the main village by the commune road. So quiet." We grabbed bags and followed. Under the pale moonlight, I spotted a charming small square yard with low mud walls. There were neatly stacked firewood piles and 4 simple mud brick rooms with thatched roofs surrounding the courtyard. Very simple, but totally tidy. The fresh mountain wind blew past, giving the place a mysterious vibe. Lu pushed the gate open and loudly shouted for Shaolin. A warm light flickered in the east room. A young man in his early 20s stumbled out, rubbing his eyes. Then a girl with braids exited the west room, holding a dim oil lamp. These two were Lin Hao and Li Wenting, brave youths who had arrived 2 whole years before us. Lu introduced us as the new arrivals, asking them to help out. He smiled and said, "Rest up. Tomorrow morning Lin Hao will help you collect grain rations." He then vanished. Li Wenting guided the Sioux sisters westward. Meanwhile, Lin Hao guided Licking and me straight to the eastern men's room. Pushing the door open, warm air hit my face. A massive heated brick kang bed radiated pure coziness. "This place was built 2 years ago," Lin Hao explained. "Each kang comfortably fits 8 people. There is an empty room, but heating 2 kangs wastes too much precious firewood. We chop our own wood manually, so we absolutely must save where possible. You two okay squeezing in tonight?" Licking nodded easily. 5 other sleepy guys were already on the kang, half awake. Lin Hao quickly introduced us. They nodded and rolled over. Life out in the countryside was truly exhausting. Nobody had energy for small talk. Licking just stood there, frowning at the rough, worn-out bedding corner. I honestly did not overthink things. Let us pause for a second. I walked straight to the quietest spot, threw down my thin mattress, and lay down. No point complaining. This was our reality. It was way better to get solid sleep and handle everything else. Tomorrow morning, within minutes, I happily drifted off to the sound of soft snoring. The next morning, Lin Hao cheerfully gathered us four. He led us down a dewy dirt path straight to the brigade office, a building slightly neater than our settlement. Inside sat team leader Lu. His full name actually turned out to be Lu Dio. The brigade accountant, a focused man named Chun, sat hunched over a thick ledger with a wooden abacus. Lu got straight to business. Zero time for casual pleasantries today. The villagers are heading to work soon, so you guys need to catch up fast. He quickly led us toward a low brick storehouse behind the main office. The heavy door opened to that dry, earthy smell of fresh grain. Burlap sacks lined the walls, perfectly, and heavy iron scale weights sat on the floor. New youth get subsidized rations for the first 3 months, Lu cheerfully explained, scooping cornmeal directly into our bags. After that, you only eat what you earn through work points. The monthly ration is 20 jin of cornmeal and 10 jin of sweet potatoes. When it is gone, it is gone. Zero extras. If you have leftovers, save them yourself. The brigade stays entirely out of it. Accountant Chun carefully weighed out sweet potatoes for everyone and recorded it all. Qing Ru quietly whispered to her sister, if careful, it is enough. We grabbed our heavy bags in silence. Trust me, you and I must see what comes next. Stick with me. These tiny rations would starve anyone else. But our guy has a secret mountain of food hidden away. He still plays along though. We signed the ledger, pressing our thumbprints down. Shin reminded us those cloth bags officially belong to the brigade. Wash them, keep them totally safe, and return them next month. Lose or rip one, you pay up. Lu then glanced at the sky. Full daylight now. In the distance, I could hear cheerful villagers shouting to each other, heading off to work. Okay, you are done here. Since this is your first day, and you are completely new, take today off. Go explore the village. Get your living situation sorted out, but tomorrow morning, you work. Do not be late. Walking back, Lin Ho warned us. They ring a loud bell for work. Late, they dock points. You have 0 so far, meaning you really cannot afford to lose a single one. Back at the lively youth settlement, I dropped the sweet potatoes and cornmeal on my king bed, spun right around, and marched straight back to the brigade office. My mind was already totally made up. I absolutely refused to live crammed together with a noisy crowd. I needed my very own place. As I walked right in, team leader Lu and accountant Chun were wrapping up the grain distribution. Lu pinched his eyebrows together the second he spotted me. Watch closely now. You just know Lu assumes the city kid is here to complain. Back so soon, he asked, tapping his pipe against the desk. Problems with rations or housing? Neither, I told him straight up. I need to know if there are any empty village houses I can rent out. I seriously want to live on my own. That completely caught him off guard. Annoyance vanished, instantly replaced by pure shock. Rent a house? Are you really sure? The settlement has warm kang beds and everyone looks out for each other. Why be totally alone? I have always preferred the quiet, I replied. Too many people back there. I cannot sleep. Surprisingly, that was reason enough for the guy. He grabbed his straw hat, sighing. All right, there is one place. Nobody uses it. Not far from the settlement. Let us go take a quick look. We three walked toward the southwest village corner, right up near the back hills, completely away from all the noise. This was exactly what I wanted. The yard looked way better than expected. Packed earth, solid mud brick walls, plus a basic stone cooking stove. The main building featured 3 connected rooms with wooden window frames. Old, but perfectly intact. Inside was mostly empty, just some battered tables and stools, but totally clean. No leftover junk. 3 rooms, Lu pointed out, pushing the door open. Space to sleep, room for storage, and a stove for cooking. You just need to set things up yourself. I will take it, I replied instantly. How much? Rubbing his chin, he offered yuan a month. Done. He blinked, truly not expecting me to agree that fast. Then a massive grin spread across his face. yuan a month meant 12 yuan a year. That was actual, solid income for the production team. Accountant Chun smiled brightly too, saying he would draw up a rental agreement for me immediately. We headed back to the office. Lu carefully wrote out the contract on thick brown paper. yuan a month, 12 yuan a year, stamped perfectly with the brigade's red seal. I signed my name, pressed my thumbprint down, and happily counted out 12 yuan in cash. We loved to see it. Lu counted twice, grinning. Chun carefully recorded it in the main ledger, tore off my copy of the agreement, and handed it over. I marched back to the lively settlement to grab my things. The yard was completely silent. Everyone else had already gone working with the villagers. Only Ling and the Su sisters remained by the stone mill, happily sipping sweet potato water from enamel cups and chatting away. They looked up, totally shocked to see me carrying my rolled bed under one arm, my heavy grain bag under the other, and my trusty cloth pack firmly in my hand. All three just stared hard. Where are you going with all that? Ling asked, completely confused. Qing Ru blinked. Are you leaving the settlement? Jing Shu just stood there quietly, waiting for my answer. I easily shifted the bedroll on my shoulder. I prefer peace and quiet. I rented an empty place in the village. Moving now, having my own private yard meant everything to me. No more sneaking around just to use my storage space. No more hiding my intense training. Behind those secure walls, I could do whatever I needed without stressing over hidden eyes. I said a quick goodbye to Ling and the sisters, grabbed my gear, and marched out. Passing the settlement junk pile, I snatched up an old broom leaning against the wall. It was absolutely perfect for cleaning up my brand new place. The little yard was dusty, but nothing too serious. I aggressively swept every room, top to bottom, cleared out nasty cobwebs and grass scraps, and cleaned the dirt courtyard until the whole place looked incredibly fresh and totally welcoming. I spread my bedding out on the kang bed, straightened everything up, and stepped back to look around. Simple, yes, but perfectly quiet and private. Now, us needed some basic household items. Pots, bowls, basins, water jugs, and I would be totally set. I quickly returned the old broom and marched straight back to the main brigade office. We are leaving it right here. Lu smoking at his desk, looking genuinely worried. Trust me, you will want to see what happens next. Let's jump right in. He probably assumed I wanted to cancel my rental and grab my cash back. I didn't let him sweat. I whipped out some premium dime cigarettes, absolutely super rare stuff. I casually pulled one out, struck a match, and sparked it for him. I lit my own. He took a huge drag, his eyes popping wide open. Wow, now this right here is a fantastic smoke. You city kids totally know how to live large. I just buy a pack sometimes as a little treat. I casually brushed it off. Since it was just the two of us, I smoothly slid that entire pack straight into his shirt pocket. His whole vibe flipped instantly. He leaned back, smiling huge. Okay, Xiao, what do you need? If Lu can help out, consider it totally handled. I told him straight. My brand new spot was totally empty, so I needed daily basics. Bowls, basins, a simple ladle, and 2 huge water crocks. Everything minus a cooking pot. I knew those iron pots were way too rare for anyone to share. Hearing this, Lu relaxed completely. Is that it? Super easy. I have extra bowls at home, and grabbing basins from neighbors is an absolute breeze. I can totally score water crocks for you too. The only missing item is that pot. You will simply have to visit the town supply store. I grabbed 10 yuan and passed it over. Will this totally cover it? He quickly thumbed through the bills, did fast mental math, and excitedly stashed the cash away with a massive smile that practically split his face. Way more than enough. I will get all of this delivered to your yard today. Then he casually added, I am skipping your work assignment for tomorrow too. Watch closely, here's where it gets crazy. Take tomorrow to hit the town and buy whatever else you need. Nobody else gets this treatment. Just you. Thanks, team leader. I definitely will not forget this. He was thrilled. Rented a cool house, bought essential supplies, and slipped actual cash right into his pocket. A little targeted generosity worked absolute magic on a guy like Lou. After handling that, I hiked straight toward those back hills. My house sat perfectly on the village edge, pushed right against the mountain. Total privacy, giving me easy, unobserved access straight into the woods. Exactly why I chose it. Getting firewood was the biggest priority. Nights in Halongjiang were absolutely brutal, and without a heated Kong, freezing wind would pierce those mud walls. Since I actually left that settlement, there was zero chance I would touch their communal wood supply. I grabbed my own. The hill was thick with pine and birch. The ground was beautifully carpeted with fallen branches and dead leaves everywhere. I moved super fast, snagging dry birch branches that would burn blazing hot. In roughly one single hour, I gathered an absolutely massive wood pile. Most of it went straight into my hidden storage space, completely invisible. Then I threw 2 massive bundles onto my shoulders, purely for the show. While collecting that wood, I secretly scouted the thickest terrain, mapping out hidden forest paths and perfect hunting spots for wild game without drawing unwanted attention. This exact mountain was going to be insanely useful. Back in my yard, I perfectly stacked the firewood against my wall. Staring at that huge pile, I honestly felt grounded for the very first time. A heated Kong tonight, fire for cooking, and a private place totally for me. Everything was finally coming together perfectly. You feel that shift, right? Ox hooves and heavy cartwheels suddenly rumbled up the road. Team leader Lu arrived personally alongside accountant Chun and old Chun, bringing every single item I requested. 2 giant water crocks, basins, a handy ladle, and rustic ceramic bowls covered the ox cart. I warmly smiled and quickly handed out those premium cigarettes. We quickly unloaded everything together and arranged it completely perfectly inside my new yard. Before taking off, Lu gave a warning. Seriously, you have most essentials, but you're still missing a crucial cooking pot and a few random basic tools. Heavy snow can drop anytime out here, and once these dirt roads freeze up, you are stuck. Head out tomorrow and get your gear completely sorted. I completely promised I would. The second they vanished, and my yard went totally silent, I canceled tomorrow's plan. I was hitting the town right now. With my powerful body and epic cicada-chasing footwork, I could arrive incredibly fast. Rushing out, I blew past the youth camp and bumped straight into Licking and the Sioux sisters. Chilling in the sun, Licking instantly questioned my final destination. Just exploring the area, replied super casually. Qing Ru tried pressing for more details, but Jing Shu smoothly held her back. I simply waved and kept moving. The absolute second I cleared that village and hit the empty dirt road, I completely stopped holding my speed back. I pushed off incredibly hard, launching my epic cicada, chasing footwork at absolute max power. My body sliced through the air like a storm, literally leaving an afterimage on the bumpy road. The system kept chiming inside my head the entire trip. Ding. 8-step cicada chasing experience 1. Ding. 8-step cicada chasing experience 1. Despite the rugged terrain, it only took me 30 minutes to enter Pine Tree Valley Commune's town center. The town was way livelier than the village. Crowds rushing everywhere carrying heavy burlap sacks and woven bamboo baskets. The biggest spot was definitely the supply cooperative. A sturdy brick shop flashing a wooden sign and bright red motivational slogans covering the outer walls. Develop the economy, guarantee supply. Trust me, you, and I could practically smell that wild mix of kerosene, soap, grain, and cloth. Huge wooden counters, shelves packed to the ceiling. This daily goods section literally had everything. Lighthouse soap, thermos bottles, enamel basins, kerosene lamps, heavy iron pots and basic hoses, nails, flashlights, batteries, everything you need, right? But stick with me here. His heart totally sank looking at this. He didn't have a single ration ticket. In this timeline, Cash alone gets you absolutely zero. You literally need special tickets for a pot, soap, or a simple lamp. Without those tickets, buying anything was impossible. Shaking his head, he walked right back out. His only real option left? Hitting the underground black market after dark. His stomach started rumbling loud, so he quickly ducked into the state-run restaurant nearby. A super basic spot. Simple wooden tables, chairs, and bold slogans plastered on the walls. He dropped 1 dime and 2 ling of grain coupons for hot plain noodle soup. Super basic stuff. Just noodles with a few scallion flakes, but it hit the spot. After eating, he walked toward the town's southeast edge. The area was packed with thick trees and wild grass, perfectly hidden from sight. If a secret black market existed here, it had to hide in these woods. He found a nice sheltered spot with a perfect view, and waited for nightfall. When night finally dropped, the town's fading lights vanished, leaving the forest completely pitch black. Soon enough, shadowy figures started slipping through the trees. Heads down, collars pulled high, avoiding any eye contact. They silently crept into the woods, one by one. He quickly pulled a rough cloth strip from inside his jacket, wrapping his face entirely, so only his sharp eyes showed. Then, he silently followed them into the trees. At the entrance, a bulky guy stepped from behind a massive trunk. Buying or selling? Buying, he answered calmly. 1 dime, the exact same price as Beijing. He handed the coin over silently. The guard pocketed it and jerked his chin toward the dark forest. Go in. No talking, no staring. Watch closely now, because you and I are heading into the deep darkness. This hidden black market sat deep in the woods, faintly glowing under pine torches. People moved like ghosts, quietly whispering their secret deals, desperately avoiding any unwanted attention. He fully scouted the whole area with his face perfectly masked, but nothing looked worth buying. Just rough grain, cornmeal, dried sweet potatoes, some worn-out clothes, and eggs. Absolutely nothing he needed. No iron pots, no thermos, no kerosene lamps. On his way out, he stopped by the entrance guard, the same bulky guy who originally let him in. The guard instantly recognized him. Back so soon? Didn't find what you wanted? No. Got any iron pots? The guard slowly scratched his chin. Actually, yes. A massive one. The exact kind meant for big banquet cooking. Interested? Yes. Follow me closely. He led the way through a crazy maze of pitch-black alleys, reaching a beat-up yard at the town's edge. He carefully knocked 3 times in a very specific pattern. A low voice demanded their identity. The guard, whose actual name was Ergu, quickly announced himself and confidently declared he brought a serious buyer. Inside, a calm, middle-aged man sat chilling in a wooden chair under dim lamplight. He had steady eyes, radiating pure boss energy. People respectfully called him Fifth Master Chun. He looked our guy over and just calmly nodded. What do you need, brother? An iron pot, thermos, kerosene lamp, and a watch. The boss's eyebrows shot up. He definitely didn't expect such a massive order. He dropped the price straight. 30 yuan for the pot, thermos, and lamp altogether. 100 for a solid used mechanical watch in perfect working condition. 130 total. Deal. He immediately pulled out the cash, zero haggling. The boss grinned wide. I love a guy who skips the nonsense. They headed into the back room, pulling out a massive iron pot from beneath the bed, plus a fresh bamboo shell thermos, a functional kerosene lamp, and that watch right from his pocket. He quickly checked the watch's time, perfectly adjusted the hands, and thanked him. Need anything else later? Just find Ergu in the East Woods, the boss mentioned. Our hideout moves around, but he always knows exactly where I am. Finally clear of town and alone. You and I both know what's next. Sending that pot, thermos, and the new lamp straight into his secret storage space. He slapped the watch on and launched into a full sprint. Cicada chasing, footwork maxed out, wind roaring, the system happily chiming away. Ding. 8-step cicada chasing experience 1. Ding. 8-step cicada chasing experience 1. He finally hit Revival Village around 10 p.m. Everything was totally dark and completely silent. Slipping into his yard, he lit the new lamp and stoked a roaring fire in the Kong using leftover wood. Within mere minutes, the room got super warm, completely erasing the biting cold. He casually laid out some basic medical books on the tiny table, normal stuff anyone could safely read in public, and started planning for tomorrow. Lu gave him the day off. He planned to use it perfectly, exploring deep into the massive mountains right behind the village. Blowing out the lamp, he crashed hard on the warm Kong. The next morning, he woke up way before dawn. The outside air was bitterly cold, frost clinging to the walls and the woodpile. He splashed his face with freezing water, lit a fire under his epic new pot, and cooked up breakfast. 2 flatbreads and hot porridge made from premium grain hiding in his storage space. A perfect, solid pot. That's where we stop. Trust me, you'll want to see his next mountain adventure. Stick with me here. I locked up and headed straight into the wild mountains behind the village. This rugged terrain was completely different from the peaceful northern slopes where everyone normally gathered wood and picked wild veggies. This area was totally untamed. Pine, birch, and oak trees grew so thick that the canopy completely hid the sky overhead. Fallen leaves covered the ground, hiding my steps. No trails, 0 footprints, absolutely no sign anyone had ever been here. I adventured deeper, dodging between trees and jumping over thick, tangled roots and wild brush. After traveling 5 or 6 li, I climbed a huge hill. Even with my physical stat at 18 and my visible force realm at 99%, this crazy climb left me catching my breath with a little sweat on my back. For the first time in ages, I actually felt pretty exhausted. While everyone else showed up at the North Mountain logging camp that morning, I was already exploring deep within these mysterious, untamed hills. Later on, I heard exactly how their morning went. Team leader Lu brought Licking and the Sioux sisters to the logging camp, where the villagers were happily swinging their axes and saws. Ling joined the logging crew under a massive local guy named Chundwang, an expert lumberjack who would teach him safe tree cutting skills. The cheerful sisters got light tasks in the workshed, helping cook and boil water under Li Wenting and her supervision. When Lin Hao noticed I was missing, Wu totally waved it off, telling everyone he personally gave me a free day to organize my new home. Meanwhile, I boldly pushed through untouched forests where no villager ever went. Massive pine, birch, and oak trees surrounded me completely. Thick layers of fallen leaves magically swallowed every single one of my footsteps. Now watch closely here. I spotted fresh animal droppings right on the ground, still super damp. Very recent. I slowed down and began tracking, sneaking carefully through the wild brush. The system chimed instantly. Ding. Tracking skill experience 1. Ding. Tracking skill experience 1. Ding. Tracking skill experience 1. I enthusiastically followed the trail right over a little ridge and through incredibly dense bushes. About 30 minutes later, the woods opened into a magical hidden mountain hollow that totally stole my breath. A tiny spring flowed down the rocks, creating a crystal clear little pond right at the bottom. The air felt wonderfully warm and damp compared to the dark woods, filled with bright green, lush plants everywhere. This was an amazing natural watering hole, exactly where woodland animals would always gather. I hid behind a huge boulder to watch. The hollow was totally packed with active wildlife. Several shiny wild boars were happily digging through the muddy banks right near the water. A few shy roe deer stood quietly by the spring, taking very careful little sips. Flocks of beautiful grouse with patterned tail feathers hopped happily through the grass, eating bugs and loudly chatting. So many animals in one single spot. Way more than I ever expected. Seeing those plump boars and deer made me eager. But I had rushed out with absolutely 0 weapons, no hunting knife, no bow, nothing at all. You and I know fighting wild boars barehanded is crazy, right? Even with my martial arts, it wouldn't work. So, I stayed calm, memorized every detail of the hollow, the fresh spring, and the paths. Then made a smart plan. Next time, I would definitely come totally prepared. This hidden spot was an absolute goldmine, and I totally intended to use it. I locked the location of that incredible animal hollow in my mind, then quietly snuck back out of those deep mountains. Having no gear meant no hunting today, but discovering that awesome spot was a huge win. Walking home, I collected a massive bundle of dry pine and birch branches. Easy work for my incredible strength. I hauled them all home to stack right by the wall. My wood pile was quickly becoming a tiny mountain. Plenty of fuel. I cooked a tasty, simple meal on the stone stove, then happily spent my whole afternoon training in the sunny courtyard. First, I practiced Tai Chi, smooth and graceful, flowing just like water. Then I unleashed the explosive power of Bajiquan, throwing epic punches until the air cracked with every strike. The system kept chiming away all afternoon. When I finally paused at sunset and viewed my stats, a massive wave of pure excitement hit me. My visible force realm reached 100%, totally maxed. My physical stat hit 19. Just one more push to break through to an epic new tier. Everything was right on the edge. I made a hearty dinner, boiled lots of hot water to wash off the intense sweat, and relaxed on the warm bed. Tomorrow would be my very first official workday. I shut my eyes and slept instantly. Before dawn the next morning, I was wide awake and out the door. Passing the youth settlement, I heard the village bell ringing loudly from the old tree. The official work signal. Sleepy teens stumbled out holding tools, while energetic villagers marched toward North Mountain carrying axes. Lin Hao spotted me and waved. "Zhou Muyun, right over here. Trust me, this is where the fun starts. You missed yesterday, so team leader Lu must assign your job." I nodded, happily joining the lively logging crew. North Mountain was perfectly covered in towering pines. "Stick with me here." The veteran workers scatter fast, axes swinging, wood flying, and loud shouts echoing everywhere. Boss Lu shows up to inspect our guy. "Got your gear from town yesterday? Perfect." Then he just stares. "How old are you? You look like the absolute youngest here." 16. His eyes just pop. 16? The youngest we ever had was 18. You are literally a kid. Lin Hao is totally shocked too, muttering that our boy looks way older. Lu scratches his chin. Usually I would assign a kid to light chores, boiling water, cleaning up. But you are built tough. Giving you the easy chores would annoy the locals, and honestly, it would not help you either. I did not travel out here just to relax, our guy says firmly. Throw me straight onto the logging crew. I can totally handle it. Lu slaps his leg. That is the spirit, but heads up. Logging is brutal. Do not say I never warned you. I will be fine. He calls over Chun Duang, the massive local training Ling. Duang shoots Lu a totally exhausted look. Another rookie, boss. I just barely got Ling up to a decent speed. Lu gives him a sharp glare. Any problems with that? Oh, no problem. Duang smiles fast. I will teach him well. He drags our hero to the shed for an axe, a curved saw, and a safety rope, walking toward a huge pine to explain the absolute basics. Always check the tree lean. Carve a triangle notch right on the falling side. Then just saw from the total opposite end. Never swing wildly. Safety always comes first. Ling is nearby, absolutely struggling with his own tree. Yesterday, the dude was super hyped and ready for anything. Today, completely drained. Slow arms, incredibly weak swings, just totally exhausted. One single afternoon of real, hardcore labor completely crushed his first day hype. Logging is absolutely not a fun little adventure at all. It is pure back-breaking effort. But by mid-morning, our genius MC already masters every single logging step. Reading the giant tree lean, chopping notches, sawing, shouting warnings, and stripping branches. With his crazy physical stats, swinging that massive axe feels like lifting a tiny chopstick. Now watch closely here, because our hero is smart. He never shows off on day one. He deliberately keeps his movements super slow, pretending to struggle hard just to blend in with everyone else. Duang patiently works through the whole demonstration, guiding him step by step at a huge pine tree. Rule number 1. Always check the drop zone. This leans east, so we blast it east onto the clear ground. Never drop it toward people or dense trees. Mess this up, and it is game over. He swings 3 times, carving a sharp triangle notch. It must be exactly 1/3 deep. Too deep, and the heavy tree crashes down early. Too shallow, and the saw gets stuck. Ling rubs his aching arms and groans nearby. That axe is just impossibly heavy. I can barely swing 10 times before giving out. Duang just laughs hard. Everyone struggles like that initially. Just give it a few days. He shifts to the back with the curved saw, pulling it back and forth, smooth and steady as sawdust rains down. When just a tiny wood layer remains, he steps way back and yells timber. Loud. The massive tree crashes down exactly where aimed. A totally flawless drop that shakes loose a giant cloud of leaves. Then he shows them branch stripping, moving from tip to trunk, saving all of it for firewood. The whole process is crazy fast and super efficient. You see this, right? He just watches silently. None of this is hard for him. He literally has not broken a sweat. Meanwhile, Duang is dripping, and poor Ling looks completely wrecked. Pale face, limp arms. His entire cotton jacket totally soaked. Logging in heavy winter gear drains your energy incredibly fast. He stays super quiet, playing the perfect, eager student. At noon, the work bell loudly rings. Everyone drops their heavy tools, rushing straight toward the cookshed as delicious food smells drift across the entire camp. Su Jingshu, Su Qingru, and Li Winting are already super busy ladling out hot meals. Our hero waits patiently in line, secretly pulling an aluminum lunchbox right from his magic storage space when nobody looks. Thank goodness he stashed one earlier, or he would have absolutely nothing for his food. Lunch is 4 thick yellow corn buns, plus a giant scoop of hearty stewed vegetables, radish, frozen tofu, dried beans, and thick wide noodles, all simmering nicely with rich pork fat, and a few belly pork scraps floating in that salty, greasy broth. It is totally built to fill you up and keep you warm. By current standards, this is a literal feast. He carries his meal to a quiet pine tree, snapping off 2 smooth twigs to use as chopsticks. Eating slowly. The buns are super rough, but that stew is incredibly savory. Duang happily flops down next to him with his chipped bowl. So, kid, how is our camp food? Can you handle this? It is amazing, our guy replies. Better than you expected, huh? Duang grins wide. Obviously not as fancy as Beijing food, right? I heard city restaurants literally have everything. Honestly, city folks eat by ration tickets too. You think they get meat every single meal? Makes you think, right? We actually have it way better out here. Duang puffs up with pure pride. Alright, stick with me here. We are jumping into a logging season that brings epic perks and daily meat stews. I asked how long it lasted. It runs from the autumn harvest straight through winter until spring planting. Snow actually makes hauling those heavy logs way easier. But weirdly, the big snow is totally missing this year. Outside winter, spring means planting, and summer is farming. Autumn brings the harvest. Those months mean lighter chores, but way fewer work points and cash. Hence, the crazy logging hustle. That is the real payday. He gave me total respect. Xiao, you are seriously sharp and crazy strong. You mastered everything in one morning. Give it a few days, and you will be working completely solo. Want to team up with me? Partners score more points together. I agreed without a single second of hesitation. I am totally in. He slapped his leg, grinning. Great. Xiao, you and I will be the top earners here. That lunch break ended almost before it even began. The work bell clanged again. Everyone let out massive groans, sluggishly dragging their aching backs and stiff arms straight to the logging zone. Duang led Licking and me to a giant pine tree about 30 centimeters across. This afternoon, tackle this tree together. Mun, take the lead. You have insane strength and learn crazy fast. Ling, grab that saw and assist. I will watch closely. If anything slips, I will jump in and stop it. Ling winced, rubbing his arm. My body is pure jelly today. I'm totally worried about slowing Mun down. Do not sweat it, Duang smiled. Everyone struggles early on. These 10 days are not about speed. Just find your rhythm and get the feel for it. He broke down the point system too. During our 10-day training phase, we would score exactly 5 points daily. Third tier labor, the lowest rate. After that, points depend entirely on how many trees we drop. Now pay attention here. The absolute best pros break 10 points. I casually circled the tree, picked the fall direction east toward the clearing, and started my work. I swung the axe with perfect control. Every single powerful stroke landed exactly on the very same spot. Wood chips flew. A clean triangular notch formed instantly in no time. Ling grabbed the heavy saw and moved over to the far side. He tried so hard, but after that brutal morning, his arms were trembling. The heavy saw wobbled. I quietly steadied the trunk for him, taking all the heavy pressure off his side. Duang coached from the sideline. Mun, go a tiny bit deeper. Perfect. Ling, do not force it. Just pull smooth and totally level. Ling was completely drenched, groaning with every single pull. Meanwhile, I felt absolutely nothing. At my level, this was effortless, but I maintained a calm face and measured pace. No reason to stand out. After about an hour, the huge trunk was down to a super thin layer of wood. I stepped back, yelling timber. That giant pine crashed exactly where I aimed, thumping straight into the clearing with a massive, satisfying boom. Beautiful. Duang clapped. Direction was absolutely perfect. Not a single step wrong. Way better than expected for rookies. We spent the rest of the afternoon stripping off all the branches. I chopped insanely fast and clean from tip to trunk. Ling nervously piled the cut limbs right behind me. One single tree. That was our entire afternoon of work. Duang called it an amazing result for rookies. Ling totally collapsed onto a stump, desperately gasping. You and I both know. I brushed those wood chips off like absolutely nothing happened. At sunset, the quitting bell finally rang. Everyone sluggishly dragged themselves home. The other youth had a warm dinner waiting at the settlement. I walked back to my yard all alone. First mission? Stuff some dry kindling straight into the Kong and get a fire blazing. Nights here are way too freezing for a cold bed. So I fired up the stone stove, quickly steamed sweet potatoes and buns, ate extremely fast, and cleaned up. I had a huge mission tonight. I locked my gate and quickly headed out of the village. Once I was completely alone on that open road, I launched into full cicada chasing speed, tearing through the darkness straight toward Pine Tree Valley Town. The system chimed non-stop. Ding. 8-step cicada chasing experience, +1. Ding. Experience, +1. 30 minutes flat and I arrived. I sprinted straight to the eastern woods where the secret black market was hidden. It was only one day. 5th. Master Chin's people definitely had not moved yet. Still, playing it smart meant finding Ergu at the entrance to guide me in. I easily spotted him leaning against a massive tree, casually smoking. I pulled the cloth over my face and whispered, "Brother Ergu." He recognized me instantly, crushing his cigarette out with a massive grin. "Hey, it is you. Back already? Need something else?" "Yeah, I was totally hoping to see Fifth Master again." "No problem at all. He is in tonight. Follow me." He turned and led me into the pitch-black woods, weaving straight toward Chun Wu's hidden yard. I absolutely needed a proper weapon. That secret mountain hollow, loaded with wild game, was waiting for me. "Trust me, you, and I know he is not going back empty-handed." That yard outside town was dark, quiet, and guarded as always. Ergu walked me in without a single issue. The lookout recognized us and waved us through. "Stick with me here." Fifth Master Chin was drinking tea, and his face instantly lit up. "Brother Yun, back so soon after just a single day? My bad for bothering you again, Fifth Master." "Bother? Hey, you can visit every day and my door stays wide open." He quickly called for fresh tea and sent Ergu away. We sat down, and he poured me a bowl of something super fragrant. I took a small sip and was totally honest with him. "I know absolutely nothing about tea, but this tastes amazing." He laughed out loud. "A straight shooter. I love it. So, what do you need today?" I did not hesitate. "Weapons. I need to know if you can actually get your hands on some." His smile grew wide. He leaned in, whispering, "Brother, You just found the absolute best guy in town. If you want things that definitely should not be sold, I am the only one with connections. What exactly are you looking for? I simply held up my fingers, forming an 8. He instantly knew what it meant. A long one or short? Give me one of each. He inhaled sharply and nodded. That is serious hardware. It will cost you. Name your price. He held up 3 fingers, then 2. 300 for the rifle, 200 for the pistol, 200 rounds each. You will not find a cheaper deal in Pine Tree Valley. I casually lit a cigarette and took a drag, letting the heavy silence linger. Shun Wu did not rush my decision. He simply waited, giving me a look, proving he knew I was no ordinary young guy. I put the cigarette out, completely crushed it, and said I will take both. Then I added, anything else in stock? Now watch closely. When I asked for cold weapons next, his vibe shifted. Honestly, dealing in firearms was super common back then. But a guy asking for old school bladed weapons too? That was a totally different breed. He analyzed me, then gave a very cautious smile. Almost nobody cares about that stuff today. But lucky for you, I actually have one specific piece. A genuinely incredible piece. The real question is, can you afford it? Show it to me first. He smirked. I respect that. Follow me. He guided me across the whole yard toward an isolated building up northwest. Around 6 heavily built men guarded the entrance, definitely skilled fighters. They immediately snapped to strict attention the second Chun Wu walked up. He quickly unlocked the heavy door and switched on the light. This secret stash was completely packed with tools, cloth, medicine, and grain. Pretty epic collection. Bring out the blade, man. He walked way to the back, gently lifting a massive wooden box wrapped in fabric. Placing it on the table, he slowly removed the cloth and popped the lid. Right inside, resting gently on soft velvet, was a sword. Absolutely stunning. The scabbard was carved from rich, smooth, and super dense rosewood. Every single fitting was solid bronze, decorated with wild cloud and thunder patterns. This was ancient metalwork, screaming with hundreds of years of history. The handle allowed a strong 1- or 2-handed grip, wrapped up securely in cord to guarantee you never lose your hold. I smoothly pulled it out. The raw steel practically sang, dropping one high, perfectly clear note that echoed through the room. This blade was completely straight and incredibly elegant, boasting 8 razor-sharp facets down its length instead of the standard 4. You feel that tension too, right? The edge practically glowed with the flowing pattern. It looked beautifully restrained, but was without a doubt totally lethal. This entire weapon just screamed dignity, power, and history. I swung it lightly just once, and the air genuinely sliced with a whisper. So, Shenmue finally asked, does it meet your standards? It is an incredible sword, I replied, never taking my eyes off the metal. I want it. He laughed out loud. It is definitely not cheap, my friend. Just name the price already. He inhaled deeply and decided to tell its story first. This sword was a Ming reproduction of an older Han-style weapon, passed down for generations, strong enough to break iron, fine enough to slice hairs perfectly. He originally got it from a ruined king noble who completely blew his family wealth and traded the sword just to buy food. That man passed away a couple years later, and the sword stayed with Qin Wu. He had zero use for it, could not eat it, could not show it off, so it just gathered dust. Since you want it, I will not rob you. 2,000 yuan. When Shun Wu said 2,000 yuan, I did not flinch. I just shook my head. Too much, Fifth Master. In these times, it is not worth that. He rubbed his hands together, half smiling. Brother, I am not trying to rip you off. It is a centuries-old relic. I must make a profit. Here, I tapped my finger on the table, deep in thought. Then I looked him straight in the eye and dropped an offer he totally never expected. How about this? The sword, plus both guns and all the ammo. I will give you one big yellow fish for everything. His eyes instantly went wide. He sat straight up. A big yellow fish meant a 10-tail gold bar. During a crazy era where cash was basically useless and supplies were insanely rare, One solid gold bar was worth infinitely more than a few thousand paper yuan. I literally saw his brain racing, rapidly recalculating everything he assumed he knew about me. After a few frozen seconds, he slapped his thigh, breaking into a huge grin. "Deal, brother Ho. You are generous, and I will not be stingy. One gold bar seals it. Trust me, we just watched a true friendship begin. Stick with me here, things are getting wild. Come on, let me show you the gear." He led me across the yard, whispering that he kept the real firepower totally separate from normal goods. If the guards find grain and cloth, I can easily talk my way out. But weapons and ammo, that means game over. I completely understood. These were the ultimate equalizers, things that only moved freely in crazy times like these. Down at the cellar entrance, two tough guards stood watch. Xin Wu gave the command, and they vanished underground. Moments later, they returned carrying two long oil paper bundles and two heavy tin ammo boxes. Back inside, under the warm lamplight, I unwrapped the very first package. A Type 38 bolt action rifle, the famous 38 cap. The finish was flawless, the bolt action silky smooth, the stock carved from a single piece of solid wood. It smelled faintly of machine oil, totally brand new condition. It came with 6.5mm rounds, super stable, perfect for long-range accuracy. The second package held a Browning 1911 pistol, all steel, compact, and sharp, featuring textured wooden grips that fit my hand perfectly. A classic military sidearm chambered in 0.45 ACP, massive stopping power at close range. The trigger, safety, and magazine all moved like they had never been touched. Also brand new, the two tin boxes were perfectly packed with ammo for both weapons, rounds gleaming, primers totally intact. I tested the bolts, magazines, and safeties on both. Everything was flawless. Great stuff, Fifth Master. No complaints, he beamed. Only the very best for you, brother. I would not pull out stock like this for just anyone. I reached right into my padded jacket and pulled out a single heavy gold bar, gleaming beautifully under the warm lamplight. I set it down and slid it across. "Check it yourself." He picked it right up with both hands, feeling the weight. Then he gently bit it, leaving a clear mark in the soft, pure gold. His face immediately split into the widest smile I had seen yet. "Pure, sweet as honey. Thank you, brother Ho. A pleasure doing business." I said I should go. He walked me all the way to the gate, repeating how welcome I was to come back anytime. He treated me just like an old friend. Once I was finally alone in the darkness, I sent everything into my system storage with one single thought. The sword, both guns, and both ammo crates, gone in an absolute instant. Then I launched into Cicada, chasing footwork at max power, streaking across the empty plains like a shadow. Ding. 8-step Cicada chasing experience 1. Ding. 8-step Cicada chasing experience 1. By the time I slipped right through my courtyard gate, the night was completely silent. Not even a single dog barking, just the bitter wind hissing wildly through the treetops. I splashed cold water on my face, totally ready to collapse onto the Kong and sleep. Watch closely, things are shifting. Tiny flakes of snow were drifting past the window, cold and totally silent. I stepped outside and looked up. The snow was falling fast and thick. This was not a light dusting. By morning, the ground would be completely buried. And when heavy snow hit, the temperature plunged straight through the walls. I crouched by the stove and shoved in several armfuls of the driest, hardest wood I had. Huge flames roared up, and warmth slowly spread through the Kong and into every corner of the room. Once the whole place was toasty and tightly sealed against the freezing cold, I blew out the lamp, stripped off my outer clothes, and stretched out on the hot Kong. Outside, the wind picked up and the snow fell harder, howling against the walls. But inside, everything was perfectly warm and still. I closed my eyes, let my mind go totally quiet, and fell right into a deep sleep. The wind howled all night. When I woke and pushed open the door, the whole world had turned completely white. Thick snow buried the yard, the road, and the trees, ankle deep, soft as cotton. Everything was completely silent. No work bell. I was about to head to the village to see what was up, when Lin Hao came trudging through the snow toward my yard, breathing big clouds of white air. "Snow is too heavy," he said. "Mountain roads blocked. No work today. Just stay home and rest." I thanked him for making the trip, but he just waved it off. He said it was his job as youth team leader, even if it meant an extra walk, since I had moved out of the settlement. Once he left, I locked the gate. A totally free day. Perfect timing. I went inside, shut the doors tight, and pulled the sword's wooden box right out of my storage space. I drew the blade. That clear, ringing sound filled the room as I ran through some practice moves. You know that feeling? The sword felt perfectly made for me. I sent it into storage for safekeeping. I was about to chop the empty box for firewood when something caught my eye. The inner walls looked way too thick. Something was definitely off about the proportions. I drew the sword again and carefully split the wood right along the seam. With a crack, the box fell apart, revealing a hidden compartment built into the lining. Inside lay a thin thread-bound book. Its pages were yellowed with age. The cover read in elegant old script, "Fundamental sword techniques. One strike, total victory." We both feel that hype. My pulse quickened. No wasted words or flashy forms. 12 ultimate combat techniques, each with a diagram and a rhyme. Thrust, cleave, hook, lift, cloud, slash, point, snap, intercept, twist, chop, sweep. Let's dive right into this. Every single move targeted a vital spot. Real, raw combat swordsmanship designed purely for intense battlefield survival. I could not wait. I drew the blade and started practicing right there in my room, perfectly matching every single movement to the diagrams. The system answered immediately. Ding. Swordsmanship experience, +1. Ding. Experience, +1. Ding. Experience, +1. I completely lost track of the passing time. I skipped lunch completely, just kept pushing. Strikes got sharper, movements flowed smoothly, until I was breathing heavy, totally drenched in sweat. When I finally stopped to check my stats, some very welcome surprises waited. My cicada, chasing footwork, broke into level 4 from all that heavy sprinting back and forth to town. My physical stat climbed right up to 20. New swordsmanship skill, level 1, 67% proficiency. But my visible force was still stuck, completely maxed out, utterly unable to break into the next stage. I stood right at the dark forest doorway, just could not push through yet. But honestly, I knew it was coming. Hunger finally hit hard. The snow outside was too heavy to bother visiting the stove. So, I poured hot thermos water into a basin, crumbled in a leftover corn bun, and ate the mush. Tasteless, but it completely worked. Sitting cross-legged on the warm bed afterward, flipping through a medical book, I let my mind tackle a much bigger problem. Training this intensely burned massive energy. Corn buns and sweet potatoes simply would not cut it. I desperately needed real nutrition, quality meat and grains to stay fueled. I had plenty of premium food stored from the Beijing black market, but eating steak and white rice daily while everyone else scraped by on rough grains. Too suspicious. People would definitely notice and talk. The only real answer? Hunting. Now watch closely here. That hidden mountain hollow was packed with boar and deer. Bringing game back from the forest meant zero questions about my meat supply. It gave me a perfectly natural, completely honest cover story. I could feed myself right, support my intense training, and never raise a single eyebrow. Once the snow cleared enough to walk, I was heading up, armed with my ancient sword and peak. Visible force? That entire wilderness was becoming my personal pantry. The heavy snow kept falling for 2 solid days before finally letting up. The whole village was buried. Thick white covered absolutely everything. Roads frozen shut. Zero chance of logging or leaving the house. Everyone got an unexpected break. I fully utilized it. Behind locked doors, I feasted on real food from storage. Steamed white buns, stewed meat. Meals I could not risk eating if anyone randomly dropped by. The only annoyance? cooking outside on that stone stove while freezing snow kept landing heavily on my shoulders, totally soaking my warm clothes. I mentally noted to build a shelter over the cooking area later. Once things thawed, that premium food made a massive difference. My energy skyrocketed completely, way better than surviving on those sad corn buns and sweet potatoes. I poured every single spare minute right into training. Fists, sword, forms. The courtyard stayed silent except for my movements and the system endlessly chiming inside my head. At night, I studied medical texts by lamplight. My medical skill climbed steadily. Then, on night 2, it finally happened. I know you felt that too. During Tai Chi, something deep inside me finally shifted. An entirely new energy current rushed through my body, threading paths I could suddenly sense. It literally felt like a massive internal wall was finally crumbling down. Whatever held me back simply dissolved. I pulled up my stats instantly. National Martial Arts Dark Force, 1%. A true breakthrough. My physical stat jumped to 21, while both my forms hit a solid level 4. Medical skill level 2. Swordsmanship, level 2. Everything just surged forward. I absolutely had to test this. I dropped into a stance and threw a casual punch. Zero effort, an easy, relaxed movement. A dull thump echoed. I stared in absolute shock. A fist-sized hole was punched clean through the solid wooden door, edges perfectly smooth and precise. I never even touched it. I stood several feet away. That was pure dark force, where visible force trained muscles and bones for explosive, raw external power. Dark force was entirely internal, hidden energy stored deep inside, released with zero outward signs. Calm on the surface, utterly devastating on impact. Barely using any strength, I punched through solid wood from a distance. Flexing my fist, feeling that wild power flowing, I just could not stop smiling. By that afternoon, the heavy blizzard finally eased down into gentle flurries. Trust me, we both know 2 days of non-stop training absolutely earned me a solid break. Stick with me here. I figured the snow would stop by midnight so the village could work. I was right. By dawn, it stopped completely. I opened my door and stepped into a blinding, bright white whirl. Snow buried my shins. Every single roof and branch was covered in white. The crisp air feeling amazing. Across the village, cheerful people were already out with shovels, laughing and clearing snowy paths. Looking at the youth settlement 300 meters away, I suddenly realized I could see everyone perfectly. Their cheerful smiles, their tiny movements, crazy little details I could never actually see before. My breakthrough leveled up my senses. My eyesight and hearing were suddenly incredibly sharp. My yard was totally buried, but I lacked a shovel. So, I marched right through the insanely deep snow toward the youth settlement just to borrow some decent gear. Everyone was working hard when I arrived. Li Wenting noticed me first, and cheerfully yelled out, wondering if my whole yard was completely clear already. Not quite yet, I told her. I need tools. I just came to borrow a shovel. Hearing this, Lin Hao quickly straightened up. We are basically done here. Take one, is yours. Ling and the Su sisters quickly hurried over. Us 4 were the only ones from Beijing. The other kids came from totally different towns, creating this nice natural bond between us. Even though I mostly kept my distance. Qing Ru jumped in fast. You seriously should not clear that snow alone. Need some backup? Jingshu nodded too. It is deep, but with our group, we will finish fast. Ling chimed in happily. I will come too. We are totally done here anyway. I smiled and shook my head. Thanks guys, but I will handle it. You worked all morning. Go get some rest. They tried to insist, but I stood my ground. Lin Hao and Li Wenting politely offered again, but they eventually let it go. We honestly were not that close yet. I grabbed the heavy shovel and marched alone through the snow toward my yard. Holding that borrowed shovel, I walked back home, feeling my 21 physical points glowing, while raw, dark force flowed smoothly right through my veins. Clearing snow was basically a warm-up. I tackled the courtyard. Every single scoop was perfectly precise, throwing massive piles neatly against the walls. My yard was spotless in minutes. But the main road outside was a totally different challenge. Constant footsteps had packed the deep snow into rock-solid ice. Now watch closely. I pushed pure dark force into my arms, angled my shovel, and shattered those frozen, icy slabs like absolute paper. I easily carved a huge, clean path from my gate straight to the main road. I did not break a sweat or even breathe heavily. After eating lunch, I marched that shovel straight back to the busy youth settlement. Lin Hao immediately met me with an update. Team leader Lu wanted every single youth hitting North Mountain this afternoon. We had to clear the logging site and get ready for actual work. Come inside and warm up, Lin Hao offered. I did not need the heat. The freezing chill simply could not touch me anymore. But standing in a frozen blizzard for absolutely no reason looked suspicious, so I walked inside. The little common room was incredibly cramped. 20 teenagers squished around 4 old tables, eating their lunch. They served plain corn porridge, yellow buns, and boiled cabbage, missing any real oil. The whole room smelled totally watery and bland. Suddenly, Ling happily spotted me and quickly waved. Muan, did you eat yet? Come sit down and have some porridge. But before I could even reply, a loud, sharp voice totally interrupted us. A skinny, bitter guy named Chin Hong angrily slammed his chopsticks down. How incredibly generous. We can barely fill our hungry stomachs, yet he gives our food to outsiders. Hearing that harsh insult, Ling's cheerful face darkened instantly. What is your problem, Chin Hong? It is my own personal ration. I am not stealing yours. Chin Hong just leaned back, smirking arrogantly. Right, sure, just to not come crying everyone when you run empty and desperately try to mooch off the rest of us guys. You and I saw that coming, right? His little gang immediately nodded along. I calmly stared right at Chin Hong. I did not even raise my voice. I just calmly asked, did I ever say I wanted your food? My eyes locked onto him, steady and heavy with that intense aura from my recent dark force. Breakthrough, honestly, was not even trying to act scary. I just looked at him. Instantly, he flinched. His arrogant smirk froze solid. His eyes darted away in panic, and he completely hid behind his tiny porridge bowl. You better not, he mumbled quietly, but his pathetic voice shrank to half its volume. He never looked up again. Li Wenting quickly stepped in to diffuse the tension. Come on guys, we are comrades here. Why fight over something so tiny? Lin Hao strongly agreed. She is right. Finish your food and save your energy. We have massive work this afternoon. The room finally fell silent, though things felt super awkward. Afterward, Ling nervously pulled me outside under the roof, where nobody could listen. Looking embarrassed, he apologized for that drama. I totally did not mean to involve you. Leaning against the wall, Ust asked, what is Chin Hong's real problem anyway? Us 4 from Beijing. We are completely new here, so our daily rations are naturally way smaller than whatever the veteran workers earn through their intense work points. So what do we learn here? Shared pots cause drama. Chin Hong's crew thinks we newbies eat and barely work. Stick with me, because being from the capital means dealing with some serious, petty countryside jealousy. They jump at any chance to cause trouble. I got it right away. Typical petty drama. Ling grabbed my arm. Looking totally serious, he warned me to carefully watch out for Chin Hong. You're alone, from Beijing, and living way comfortably. That guy holds crazy grudges and loves ganging up on targets. If he tries anything, do not fight him alone. We 4 absolutely must stick together out here. I just gave a slight smile. Seriously, do not worry about me. Honestly, I hope he tries something. The loud work bell chimed, sending absolutely everyone toward North Mountain carrying their heavy shovels. Trailing behind with Ling and the Su sisters. Our heavy winter boots crunched through the fresh snow. Shivering from the harsh chill, Jing Shu hugged her winter coat tightly, cheeks flushed pink. How is solo cooking going, Mun? Isn't living alone annoying? Honestly, it is fantastic, I replied, casually kicking some snow. Now that everything is set up, it easily beats the main settlement. Way more freedom. Qing Ru skipped over, full of endless curiosity. But why leave? At the main settlement, you actually had people around. Which is exactly why I left, I chuckled. Living solo means dodging all the annoying, petty drama. Pure peace. Ling happily slapped his knee. You totally predicted this mess before we did. Genius move. I looked at him. You should leave too. The village definitely has other empty houses available. He awkwardly rubbed his neck, glancing at the girls. I simply cannot. I actually gave my monthly food ration straight to the settlement's shared cooking pot already. If I walked away, Jingshu and Qingru would be left fighting off Qin Hong's gang completely. By themselves. I have to stay here. Smiling, I simply let my eyes drift playfully between them. If you move out, you guys might as well all just leave together. You guys are terribly obvious about your little romance anyway. Instantly, both of their faces flushed a hilarious bright red. Ling started stuttering. You saw that blush, right? Jingshu instantly hid her face, while Qingru burst out laughing, eagerly piling on. Mun, let me tell you, Ling and my sister are literal childhood sweethearts. They actually grew up right beside each other. Without this countryside relocation mission, they would probably be getting officially engaged right now. Qingru, seriously, shut up. Face burning like a tomato, Jingshu wildly swatted her sister's shoulder. I chuckled. No need to explain anything. It is painfully obvious. Looking toward Jingshu with total warmth, Ling confidently admitted the truth. Yeah, it is real. We have been incredibly close since childhood. Suddenly remembering a detail from our train ride, I asked, did you not say your father is a major steel plant supervisor? Could he not just secure you a nice city assignment? Qingru eagerly leaped right into the conversation before anybody else could respond. Oh, he absolutely could have. Ling never actually needed to come here. He literally threw his safe spot away just for my sister. He followed us so we would never be alone. I raised my eyebrows in shock. What an epic romance. Ling patted my shoulder, looking wise. You're still young, Mun. When you meet someone you deeply care for, you'll definitely understand. I simply clicked my tongue, unimpressed. Since I was the youngest, everyone treated me exactly like a little brother, especially Qingru, constantly hovering nearby, playfully teasing, and basically bursting with infinite energy. We reached the freezing logging site. The entire area was buried in white. Team leader Lu was already waiting patiently with his shovel. Instantly, he started loudly shouting for everybody to fan out and begin clearing the snow. I tightly gripped my heavy shovel. Before taking 2 steps, Qingru popped up right beside me wielding a snow pusher. I will work with you, Mun. I did not argue. I headed straight into the absolute deepest section and fiercely dug in. Every single scoop was massive, and I effortlessly launched the snow aside in powerful swings. Watch closely. Using pure dark force, those frozen slabs just cracked apart like nothing. Qingru trailed behind, swiftly sweeping up whatever snow I missed. You are incredibly strong, she gasped, her eyes completely wide. 1 swing from you equals 10 pushes from me. It is only snow, I replied, without even turning around, while she happily chattered away. Aren't you scared living completely alone at night? It's super quiet out here. The wind makes those trees creak, and it feels genuinely creepy. I could never do it. Pure silence is exactly what I prefer, I answered. Never me, she giggled, playfully sticking out her tongue. I absolutely need my sister nearby. I simply smiled without replying, naturally picking up the pace. I easily handled the heavy snow, destroying thick drifts and frozen chunks. While she quickly cleaned behind me, we found a perfect rhythm, moving far faster than anyone else working at the busy logging site. Watching me work, she murmured, you are easily 100 times more useful than Qin Hong and his obnoxiously loud mouth. I quickly glanced back at her. Just focus on your own work. Stop worrying about other people. Yes, sir. She grinned happily, pushing snow and energetically bouncing right behind me without showing any exhaustion. We spent all afternoon clearing that logging site's main road. When team leader Lu finally declared our job done, the entire path was totally clean and completely ready for work to resume tomorrow. So what do you and I take from this? Walking home, Ling and Jingshu awkwardly caught up, both looking quite sheepish. Let's jump right in. Mun, we need a huge favor, Ling begged, pulling my sleeve. Jingshu and I made our choice today. We seriously want to leave this settlement behind, exactly like you suggested. Jingshu whispered softly. Our supplies for this month are already grouped up, so we will eat here for now. But next month? New rations mean we are absolutely cooking our own meals. We just have zero clue how this whole process works. Could you please take us straight to team leader Lu? Before I even answered, Qingru dashed right over, eyes totally shining. Wait, are we actually moving out soon? No more facing Qin Hong. She grabbed her sister's arm, shaking it. Jingshu sighed. Keep your voice totally down. Do not announce this to everyone. I glanced at the three girls, figuring this was a simple favor. We were all from Beijing anyway, not a big deal at all. Let's go see Lu immediately. I waited outside while they rushed inside to pack up. They literally bounced back in minutes. The four of us trekked through the snowy village toward the office. But Lu had already headed home for the night. Some local guards warming up by a fire pointed us right to his place. The West End brick house, big wood pile outside. We reached the house and knocked. Lu's massive voice echoed right through the door. Who is it? Enter. Watch closely here. He sat smoking his pipe, but seeing me, he completely lit up, waving us toward the warmest seats. I handed him a smoke, lighting it up. So, what brings you guys over? He casually asked. I gestured to the three girls. They actually want to rent a village house too. The current settlement simply is not working out. Lu's eyes flew wide open, breaking into a massive smile. He slapped his leg hard. Absolutely wonderful news. I could literally see the math in his head. Extra brigade rent money. He was thrilled. We have tons of empty places here. He grinned, pointing outward. Multiple families joined the commune, seeing their houses totally abandoned. There are two perfect little yards on the west side, super close to Mayan's house. You guys would basically be neighbors. The girls thanked him endlessly, but Lu just held up his hand. The only catch? We cannot finish the paperwork tonight. Accountant Chin headed to town for reports and will not return until way later. Just visit the brigade office first thing tomorrow morning, and I will have absolutely everything ready. They thanked him once more, and he waved them away. Hurry back before dark. The roads are slippery. We can all feel something shifting here. As they vanished, Lu's entire expression completely changed. He patted my arm, keeping me behind. He definitely had something else to discuss. I watched the girls vanish, but Lu held me back. I naturally raised an eyebrow. Something else? Team leader? He dropped his pipe, smiling super warmly. Nothing official. I just realized those girls have the settlement kitchen tonight. But you only have a freezing cold stove waiting for you at home. Just stay and eat with us. Save the hassle. He did not have to ask me twice. After shoveling freezing snow all afternoon, cooking a meal from scratch was the absolute last thing I wanted. I definitely will not decline that. Thank you. And thank Auntie too. Oh, stop being formal. He waved his giant hand, shouting backward. Wife, toss in extra grain cakes and fry up that sour cabbage with noodles. We have a guest tonight. Her cheerful voice replied instantly, followed by the loud clanking of pans. Delicious smells started drifting over. Almost immediately, he pulled me onto the heated seats and packed his pipe. I handed him a cigarette instead, lighting it for him, then grabbed one myself. We settled right in, chatting. Just super easy, comfortable talking. He opened up about his family. He and Auntie live totally alone. Their son worked at the official county distillery managing their warehouse production. A very steady job with really decent pay. Their sweet daughter had married well. Her husband was a high-level county official. He treated her right and spoiled the old couple, sending premium rice and cooking oil back home whenever he possibly could. The only catch, Lu sighed, pure loneliness filling his voice. Both kids are city settled, busy all year. They hardly ever visit home. It is literally just us two out here feeding chickens and managing village drama. You youngsters showing up actually brought some real life back here. I smiled gently. Your kids succeeded, so you both enjoy peaceful lives. Tons of people would heavily envy that. He laughed, jumping right into childhood stories. The cozy room quickly filled with smoke and easy laughter. Soon enough, Auntie walked out carrying a massive wooden tray loaded with dishes. Way more than the simple grain cakes Lou requested. Honestly, I wish we could physically taste this right now. Bubbling stew, sweet potato noodles, tangy, cabbage, and thick pork belly slices glistening under that warm, cozy lamplight. You and I are jumping into a truly mouth-watering feast. Golden scrambled eggs set right next to it, perfectly tender and drizzled with sesame oil. Meat and oil were massive luxuries back then, making this an epic spread. And get this, the main course went way beyond simple cakes. She steamed mixed flour buns, the ultimate sign of proper countryside hospitality. Uncle Lou patted the absolute warmest spot on the heated brick bed. Sit down, Mun, and eat up. He pulled out a clay jug, popping the mud seal. Instantly, the intense, rich aroma of premium grain liquor completely filled the entire cozy room. His son brewed it at the distillery, pure, high-quality grain with absolutely zero water added. Can you drink? He asked, offering a rough porcelain bowl. Just a little, our hero replied, claiming he really was not much of a drinker. That is fine, just a little to warm you up. He poured Mun half a bowl, filled one for his wife, and fully topped off his own. Now eat before it gets cold. Looking at the amazing feast they prepared, and seeing the genuine, absolute warmth shining on both of their faces, Mun felt totally touched. Thank you, this is too much. Uncle Lou faked a stern look. Hey, we are at home. Drop the team leader title. Call us Uncle and Auntie Lou. You are officially family here now. Eat up. Auntie Lou smiled warmly, happily piling rich pork slices and scrambled eggs straight into his bowl. You worked incredibly hard today, so eat well and do not hold back. The bed was warm, the delicious food steamed perfectly, and the amber liquor glowed in those ceramic bowls. Now pay attention. Uncle Lou grabbed some pork, looking right at him with deep, totally genuine concern. So, Mun, how are things going? Our tiny village really cannot compare to Beijing. If anything bothers you, tell Uncle Lou. Mun took a sip of the smooth, warm liquor. Honestly, he really liked it out here in the country. The mountains are peaceful, and the air is super clean. It is great. Auntie Lou stopped serving food for a second and gently patted his arm. Her eyes looked soft and worried. You sweet talker, do not pretend it matches the big city. Are you really only 16? You are so young. Why on earth would your family send you all the way out here alone? Her totally warm, motherly tone caught him completely off guard. He immediately started giving the standard official answer. Well, responding to the massive national call for educated youth to help the countryside. But Uncle Lou cut him right off with a wave. Save it, kid. We are all family here. Keep that stiff talk for the committee meetings and tell us the real reason. Mun calmly put down his chopsticks and simply explained that his younger brother was way too small. Someone definitely had to go. The older couple immediately exchanged a knowing look. They completely understood. He boldly volunteered to protect his little brother. Auntie Lou teared up, gently patting his hand. You incredibly good-hearted boy. Just listen to me now. From today on, this village is your true home. If you ever need anything, face any trouble, or just want to talk, you always come find your Auntie Lou. You hear me? Thank you, Auntie, he replied, truly meaning it. Uncle Lou proudly thumped his chest. She is absolutely right. You're family now. Then he flashed a huge grin. Let me tell you, you are our village lucky star. You saw that coming, right? Mun was super confused. Lucky star? Uncle Lou could barely contain his massive excitement. Our production team completely missed the revenue target this year. Everyone panicked. Then you bravely showed up and rented a house. Boom. That is real cash for the brigade. Now, 3 more youths want to rent because they saw you do it. Even more cash. You single-handedly helped us hit our massive quota. If that is not a lucky star, what is? He laughed and happily raised his bowl. That is only because you had great houses available, Uncle. I just got lucky. He playfully clinked their bowls together. Smart mouth, too. Drink up. They happily ate, drank, and talked for a really long time. The delicious sour cabbage stew quickly disappeared. The fluffy scrambled eggs vanished, and that massive clay jug of liquor was incredibly half empty. Uncle Lou was blushing completely bright red. His eyes were totally glazing over, and his words slurred heavily. He squinted at Mun, finishing his third whole bowl, and wagged a finger. "You little liar." Mun just stared back with pure innocence. "What did I even lie about? You claimed you could only drink a little." He slapped the table hard, playfully, splashing some amber liquor everywhere. "3 whole bowls? And just look at you. Not a single drop of red on your face. Absolutely rock steady. You call that not much of a drinker?" Auntie Lou stared in awe, hand planted firmly on the jug to stop anyone from pouring more. "Mun, you are only 16. Your uncle and I have literally drank our entire lives and absolutely cannot match you. But hear me now, liquor tastes great, yet it is tough on the body. Do not make this a habit." Mun just smiled sheepishly. "I seriously was not lying, Auntie. I barely ever drank before. I had zero idea I could handle this much." Uncle Lou went wide-eyed and slapped his thigh. "Our village got itself a legendary drinking god. Pure hidden talent." Auntie Lou glared. "Finish up. You have logging tomorrow. Honestly, you and I are absolutely going to love this wild new village life. Let us dive right." I agreed obediently, smiling gently. Uncle Lou was completely exhausted, weakly waving his hand in defeat. "Stop pouring. My head is spinning." "You win, Mun. You absolutely win." We cheerfully drained the very last of our bowls. I finally stood up to leave. Auntie Lou jumped up, worried. "It is completely dark outside. Let me walk you back with a flashlight." I firmly shook my head. "I know the way. It is not far. Please, both of you get some rest. I will be perfectly fine." Saying good night to Uncle and Auntie Lou, I confidently stepped out into the snowy night. The bright moon reflected off the fresh white snow, lighting up my path like magic. Thanks to my powerful cultivation body, I walk steady and perfectly sure, even on solid ice. Passing the youth settlement, those oil lamps were still flickering inside. Now watch closely. From the corner of my eye, I spotted 2 shadowy figures, scarves hiding their faces, sneaking off toward the edge of the village. They clearly wanted to stay completely hidden. I did not care. Their mystery mission was absolutely not my problem. I went straight home, stoked the warm fire, and instantly fell asleep. That incredibly warm bed and good liquor pulled me under fast. I slept so deeply, waking up before dawn feeling totally and completely refreshed. But somehow, that was not early enough. When I stepped outside to wash up, Ling and the Su sisters were already standing at my front gate, clearly waiting a while. Their faces looked completely tight with heavy frustration. "What is wrong? Why so early?" Ling stepped forward, barely keeping his angry voice down. "We cannot stand one more second there." Qingru quickly jumped in, pouting. "The minute we got back last night, Chun Hong totally ambushed us. He claimed we were busy kissing up to connections and pulling strings. The absolute garbage," he said, "was incredibly disgusting." Jingshu dramatically sighed. "He stirred up the other youths against us too, claiming we think we are special and just refuse to live with everyone else." Ling tightly clenched his fists. "I nearly punched the guy. People literally had to hold me back. That settlement is completely poisoned with him around. We need to finalize the rental today, right now." I totally understood. Grabbing 2 soft buns, I stuffed one in my mouth and nodded. "Let us go." "No, waiting." The 4 of us marched quickly through the snow to the brigade office. Inside, Accountant Chun was already happily seated at his desk, his wooden abacus laid out, smiling warmly. Uncle Lou clearly reached him first thing this morning. More rental income for the brigade simply meant a very happy, eager accountant. "Good morning, Accountant Chun," I happily announced. The other 3 quickly echoed me. Shin stood up, waving us along. "Lou already filled me in. Easy business. First, let me show you the yard. The location is absolutely and completely perfect. It is right across the road from your place. You will practically be neighbors." Qingru happily grabbed her sister's arm, bouncing. That is completely perfect. We can just shout across the road if we need anything. We walked barely a minute before arriving. You and I both know how perfect this is. It sat right across from my yard, just one road between us. The layout was practically identical to mine. 2 mud brick rooms facing south, walls totally solid and crack-free, windows freshly papered. This courtyard was remarkably clean and spacious. It had a neat firewood shed along the west wall, corner stone steps, and a beautiful old apricot tree right in the middle. Bare right now, but absolutely stunning once spring finally arrives. The old wooden gate was incredibly sturdy. Chun cheerfully pointed everything out. 2 cozy rooms, one for the sisters, and one for Liang. The firewood sheds are ready. Just sweep out the dust, quickly wipe down the furniture, and you can definitely move in today. The only thing to sort out on your own is pots, bowls, and basic cooking supplies. Liang and the sisters looked everything over and instantly loved it. Clean rooms, solid walls, a gorgeous courtyard, and my place right across the street. Compared to that messy settlement, this was a completely different world. Liang did not hesitate. We will absolutely take it. Accountant Chun smiled widely, laying out the terms. 1 yuan a month, 12 yuan upfront for the entire year. The exact same deal as mine. Future years could be partially deducted from work points if cash gets tight. Done, Liang said, without even blinking. Anything to escape that terrible settlement. We happily walked back to the brigade office to sign the official paperwork. Uncle Lu was already waiting inside, pipe in hand, grinning broadly, before we spoke. Once Liang confirmed the rental, Lu clapped 3 times like he just won a huge prize. Chun wrote up the official lease with incredibly neat brushstrokes. Dates, rent, responsibilities, all completely spelled out clearly. Liang carefully counted out 12 yuan, signed his name, and firmly pressed his thumbprint into the red ink. Shin split the document in 2, handing him a copy. Guard this carefully, it is your proof. Lu added one more thing. You 3 are fully excused from logging today. Use the day to clean up your new place. Old Shin, the cart driver, is heading to the commune for supplies. Ride along to buy your pots, bowls, and cooking gear. Jingshu bowed and thanked him, clearly moved. So, what do you and I make of this? A beautiful new beginning awaits them. You and I are jumping right back in. I waved goodbye, but Lu grabbed my arm. Hold up, Mun. Bell is ringing. Walk to North Mountain together. We marched out through the crisp, snowy morning. On our way, he looked at me, completely, genuinely worried. Logging here is intense. Swinging heavy axes, pulling massive saws, pure muscle work. You are young. If you feel tired, take a break. I lead this team. Nobody will give you trouble for resting up. I'll make sure of that. I kept my pace perfectly steady, boots crunching the snow. Uncle Lu, honestly, this kind of hard work is easy for me. I'll be fine. He studied my face, realized I wasn't just acting stubborn, and nodded. Okay, just don't push yourself past your limits. Safety first, always. The entire logging site was totally buzzing when we arrived. Axes smashing loudly, saws grinding, guys shouting across the whole hillside. Everyone was grinding hard. I waved goodbye to Lu and quickly went to find Daewon. He was crouching by the tool area, sharpening a saw, arranging his axes. He glanced up, checked behind me, and frowned. Where is leaking? Why is it only you? He took off. Personal matters, I replied, grabbing a razor-sharp, wide-bladed axe. Just us 2 today. Duang nodded, giving me his classic safety reminder. All right, but we rested 2 days for snow. Please don't tell me you forgot every single thing I taught you. This requires flawless technique, not only pure muscle. Safety is priority. I hefted the axe. Great weight, perfect balance, and nodded at Duan. Don't worry, everything you showed me is safely locked up here. Smiled, tapping my head. I remember it all. That is exactly what I like to hear. Let us begin. We picked a tall, straight tree, trunk around 35 centimeters thick across. Solid wood, absolute top-tier lumber. Duang pointed east toward an open clearing. We drop it right there. Watch for hidden snow ditches. I stepped up and swung hard. The notch was textbook perfect. Flawless angle, exact depth. Wood chips flying. Completely clean. Every single strike landed exactly on the last mark. Dwang watched with raised eyebrows, remaining totally silent. We grabbed the giant two-man saw, standing on opposite sides of the trunk, and started pulling. Now pay attention here. Dwang planned to carry the heavy weight, assuming I'd quickly tire out. But almost instantly, he realized my pulling was rock steady, perfectly timed, zero wasted motion. I was seriously holding back, using only a normal strong worker's basic power. Nowhere near my true power, but still way more than enough. Half an hour later, the massive trunk finally cracked loudly, and I yelled, "Timber!" The giant tree fell exactly where we aimed, crashing into the snowy clearing, blasting up a huge cloud of white powder. Dwang just stared, throwing up a thumbs up. Absolutely unbelievable, Xiao. I totally thought you would need 2 extra breaks. You didn't even sweat. Your pure technique and strength are 10 times better than when I first started out. I casually shrugged, simply following the basic steps and working alongside a great partner. We cleared branches, cutting the trunk into standard regulation sections. My saw cuts were flawlessly smooth, precise, with exact measurements. Dwang shook his head, totally amazed. By mid-morning, we already felled 2 massive trees, miles ahead of every other mountain team. Dwang suddenly grabbed my arm as I had a 3rd tree. Hold on, let us just take a break. I was super confused. We are dominating out here. Why stop? He pulled me into a sunny, windless, sheltered spot and made me sit down. Let's pause a second. Listen, you are totally new, so you don't know the system. Your first 10 days guarantee fixed work points, no matter what happens. Whether you chop 10 trees or just 1, it's a training phase. You simply show you're learning and putting effort in. He handed his canteen and explained, if we keep moving this insanely fast, we will make the experienced workers look truly terrible. People will assume they are slacking because 2 newcomers completely crushed them. That creates unnecessary enemies. Better to slow our pace, rest freely, and still collect the exact same points by sunset. Why destroy our bodies for 0 extra reward at all? It clicked instantly. He was completely right. Showing off during a fixed payment phase was totally pointless and creates massive village drama. You're way smarter about this stuff, Dwang. We'll do it your way. Nice, slow, and easy. He grinned, leaning back against a giant trunk, soaking in the winter sun. 1 more tree later, and we're golden. Easy points, 0 trouble. Absolutely no sore muscles tomorrow. We sat peacefully in the forest, chatting about village life, letting the morning work settle. It was incredibly peaceful. When the heavy lunch bell clanged across the mountain, everyone instantly dropped their tools, lining up for food. Same meal as yesterday. Stewed cabbage, potato, a few precious slices of delicious, fatty pork, and 4 incredibly dense corn buns each. Super simple, same exact food, but nobody complained. In an era where oil and meat were pure luxury, a hot meal shining with a little rich grease was something to truly appreciate. While Dwang and I chilled on North Mountain, Ling and the sisters rode Old Chin and his ox cart to buy their necessary kitchen supplies. And that's where you and I leave it today. The shop had everything: massive iron woks, ceramic bowls, aluminum basins, bamboo chopsticks, cutting boards, water crocks. Let's jump right in. Qingru was literally bouncing around, pointing everywhere. Jingshu, careful as ever, made sure they didn't miss a thing. Bowls, knives, ladles, you name it. The cashier tallied it all up and said they were slightly short on industrial coupons. Without blinking, all 3 dumped out every single ticket their families gave them. Grain coupons, industrial vouchers, cloth tickets. They just spread the entire pile right across the counter for everyone to see. The saleswoman was totally amazed. You guys really went all out. Good luck with the new place. They bought it all, packed it tightly, and waited outside in the freezing cold for Old Chun to finish running errands. When he finally pulled up with the ox cart, he felt awful keeping them waiting. They smiled, saying it had only been a few minutes. He quickly helped them load the water crock, those heavy iron pots, and every single bowl onto the cart. They tied everything down tight, heading straight back to the village with the full load. Meanwhile, on the mountain, Duang and I enjoyed a totally relaxing afternoon. After chilling all morning, we casually strolled deeper into the thick forest when the bell rang. Duang explained the strategy. We already took down 2 today. That is plenty to get noticed. For the afternoon, we just find the thickest tree around and honestly take our sweet time with it. Just 1 tree for the entire afternoon. No rushing. Absolutely no flexing those crazy muscles. Sounds perfect to me. Now pay attention here. We found an absolute monster of a tree, 45 centimeters wide, way thicker than our morning haul. Prime timber. Duang slapped the bark, grinning. This beast is huge enough to keep us busy till sunset without rushing. I started chopping the notch normally, controlled swings, perfect angle and depth, holding my crazy strength back just to look like an average strong worker. Then we set up the 2-man saw, pulling it slow, steady, and super relaxed. The saw chewed into the massive trunk with a steady rhythm, sawdust falling just like snow. Duang kept chatting away. People always think logging is just raw muscle, but it is pure finesse. Keep it level, pull evenly, and pacing yourself creates the cleanest cut. I totally get that. Matching his relaxed rhythm. Going slow actually feels way smoother. We spent the whole afternoon on that single giant tree. Sunlight glowing through the branches, snow softly melting on us. Absolutely zero pressure today. When the trunk finally cracked and the massive tree tipped right where we aimed, slamming into the snowy slope in a huge white cloud, it felt super relaxing. We cleared the branches and chopped the sections at that exact, unhurried, easy pace. Right when the final bell rang, we had produced one absolutely perfect tree. Just 1 tree all afternoon, but handled flawlessly, totally within our training rules. And honestly, neither of us even broke a single drop of sweat. The sunset made the snow shine gold as I walked home. Right across the road from my place, the new house was completely bustling with energy. Ling was scrubbing the windows. Jingshu arranged all the fresh pots and bowls, while Qingru was busy sweeping the heavy snow from the courtyard. You and I know the vibe. Sweaty, but absolutely glowing. I walked over, leaning on their gate. Need some help? Qingru practically jumped out of her shoes. She spun around, grabbing her chest. Muan, how do you move without making a single sound? You almost gave me a heart attack. Ling and Jingshu turned, smiling brightly, and waved me inside. Jingshu quickly handed me some water. Just sit and rest. You logged all day long. I looked around the messy room, offering to help, but Ling totally shut it down. We are basically finished, and you definitely worked way harder than us today. Suddenly, Jingshu's eyes totally lit up. You have to stay for dinner. It is our first meal here. You seriously need to stay. Qingru forgot her little scare and started jumping. Yes, our first dinner. I asked if they were skipping the settlement meals, since their rations were already pooled together. Ling just waved it off casually. Forget those basic rations. I would rather skip meals than ever listen to Chan Hans's annoying garbage. One more time. Jingshu leaned closer with a sneaky little smile. We actually bought pork today. I'm making stewed meat tonight. Real pork? That changes everything. Well, I'm absolutely not declining that. Ling clapped my shoulder, laughing. You shouldn't. We still owe you big time for getting us out of there. A hot meal is the bare minimum. I brushed it off, saying I would head home and be right back. In my yard, it really hit me. They were using their rare pork just on me. I definitely could not arrive empty-handed. I grabbed a bag and scooped some premium white flour right from my secret storage space. Just enough to mix with their cornmeal. Half and half steamed buns taste a million times better than just eating dry, plain corn buns every single day. I also pulled a bottle of strong white liquor from my stash. Walking back inside with the bag and bottle, Qingru immediately dashed over to me. What is that? What did you bring us? That's where we leave it. I handed Jingshu the flour. Mix this in. Trust me, you and I both know this dinner is gonna be epic. Let's dive in. Jingshu pushed the bag back. We invited you. We cannot take it. White flour is too precious. I firmly pressed the bag right into her hands. We are not strangers, I said. Plus, it would just go to waste anyway. Ling backed me up, telling Jingshu to just accept it. Blushing deeply, he finally took the bag with pure gratitude and hurried into the kitchen. She tossed all their pork into a massive iron wok with cabbage, glass noodles, and dried beans, stewing everything together into one incredibly epic, delicious pot of meat and veggies. That smell filled the entire courtyard. Everything was finally ready. We gathered around the Kang table for steaming pork and fluffy half-and-half buns. An absolute feast by countryside standards. Ling poured us each a small measure of white liquor. Then he looked at me, flashing a knowing half-smile. 16 years old, and already drinking? It is a special occasion, I replied, turning the bowl in my fingers. Happy housewarming party. Jingshu and Qingru both set their chopsticks down, bowing to me together with incredibly soft, genuine voices. Thank you, Mia. Without you, we would still be stuck there. I smiled, telling them to stop thanking me. It was nothing. Ling and I clinked our bowls for a quick sip, while Jingshu served everyone tender pork. For a while, we ate. But watch closely. This is exactly where the warm mood shifted. Jingshu slowly set down her chopsticks, finally voicing the heavy thought on absolutely everyone's mind. With deep sadness, she whispered, do you think we will actually ever get to go home? The table went perfectly quiet when Jingshu spoke. Qingru froze her bun, stopping halfway to her mouth. Her eyes went red, and her voice cracked. I think about going home every single day. I miss my mom's delicious cooking, and that dress my dad bought me. I keep telling myself it will not be long. Jingshu gently patted her sister's hand. I want to go back too. But I heard old villagers talking, the earliest groups of city youth who came here. Some of them actually have families now. It might be years, maybe even longer. Ling tightened his grip on his bowl and stared straight at Jingshu. However long it takes, I will wait. With you by my side, I do not care where we are. Super sweet, right? But I just could not let them float on false hope. I set my chopsticks down, speaking honestly. Please do not be too optimistic. Before leaving Beijing, asked around, hardly any youth from the later waves have actually returned home. Serious government policy simply does not change on a whim. Jingshu sighed. The last spark of hope in her eyes faded completely. Then we better prepare for the long haul. Qingru's head shot up, eyes wide with real panic. How long? I do not want to stay here forever. There is nothing to do and nowhere to go. Deciding to lighten the mood, I grinned. Do not worry, Qingru. Local guys are actually super eager to marry educated city girls. You are smart and pretty. If you cannot go home, you could always settle down with some nice local man. No way. Turning bright red, she instantly whipped her face away. I am definitely not marrying some rough country guy. They are all dark and weathered. Just know. We all burst out laughing. She puffed up her cheeks and stamped her foot. Stop laughing at me. Ling calmed her down, then turned to me with a much more serious look. What about you, Mayan? If we never actually go back, would you marry someone around here and settle down? Taking a slow sip of liquor, stared straight out the dark window. Who can say? I am 16. Marriage is miles away. I will take it one step at a time. But what if? Ling pressed. What if the policy never changes? I shook my head. Then I deal with it. You cannot live in a dream forever. Qingru's eyes suddenly lit up. You and I totally did not see this coming. She randomly blurted out. Well, then I will marry you. Dead silence. Everyone froze. I blinked, then could not help laughing. You? I will safely pass. She lunged forward with puffed cheeks. Why not? Am I not pretty? You are pretty, I admitted. She really was. Bright eyes, lively face. Then why will you not let me marry you? I looked at her and said calmly, you are older than me. Her jaw dropped. Are you serious? I have not complained about you being younger. And you actually have a problem with me being older? It is only 2 years. She was ranting so hard she missed Jingshu and Ling exchanging glances. both of them biting back laughter. When she finally caught them absolutely grinning, and saw me fighting a smile, the full realization of what she just proposed hit her all at once. Her face went from pink to crimson in half a second, cheeks, ears, and neck, all totally glowing. Stumbling backward and waving her hands, she panicked. "I did not mean that. I just meant I refuse to marry a local. That is all." We all laughed again. And this time, even she could not help a tiny embarrassed smile. In rough times, that innocent warmth is pure gold. Tell me you and I would not want a night like this. We happily ate and drank until late. When I finally stood up to leave, all three of them tried stopping me. Ling really wanted me to stay longer. Jingshu worried about ice on the road. Qingru volunteered to walk me home. Smiling, I waved them all off. "It is right across the road. I will survive." Ling shook his head. "I still cannot believe you are drinking. All right, come along with me. You downed 7/10 of that bottle." My head was spinning. "But you look completely fine." Jingshu handed me 2 leftover buns. "Warm these up if you get hungry later tonight." "Thanks so much, Jingshu," I cheerfully replied, waving a quick goodbye to them. They waited at the gate, warmly watching, until I crossed the road and vanished inside my yard. I washed my face, blew out the lamp, and crashed on the cozy bed. The gentle, fuzzy haze from the drinks wrapped around me, and I instantly fell fast asleep. Early next morning, I grabbed those 2 buns Jingshu gave me, washed them down with cool water, and cheerfully marched up to North Mountain with my trusty axe, and saw Ling was back, business finished, fully moved out, and completely ready to work. Duang was already there, relaxing and waiting for us by a big tree stump. He grinned brightly, seeing us together. "Awesome 3-man squad today," he cheered. "We can definitely take turns resting up." Then his face grew serious. "You were away for days, Ling, and barely trained before. We are putting safety first today. Just watch us this morning. Mun and I will cut a tree while you stay safely back and carefully study every single move. No tools until I say so." Ling eagerly nodded. "Got it. I will watch closely." Duang and I picked out a solid medium tree. I chopped the notch perfectly, clean, precise angles. Duang cleared the chips and loudly explained every single little detail to our eager friend Ling. "See this depth? Check the angle. This totally decides where the big tree falls. Watch closely now. Mess this up, and someone gets badly hurt." Ling stood safely back, his eyes glued, hands instinctively mimicking our exact cutting movements. We picked up the 2-man saw and deliberately worked at a slow pace. Duang used this time to teach. Pull evenly. Do not yank. This totally requires finesse, not just brute force. Going slow is much safer and smoother. We chopped just one single tree all morning. Nearby teams totally noticed and started whispering, "Look at those city kids with Duang. Just one tree. A snail is faster than that. They must be way too soft for real hard work. Spoiled city types. Pure time wasting, honestly." Duang just smiled happily, and I ignored them completely. Ling blushed, but Duang just slapped his shoulder. "Forget them. We are here to learn this properly, not run a silly race. Slow and solid beats fast and sloppy any day." After lunch, Duang totally switched things up. "This afternoon, Ling, you are the team lead. Mun assists, and I supervise. Time to get your hands dirty." Ling's eyes lit up instantly, looking incredibly excited and equally nervous. "Really? I will never let you down. We found a great practice tree. Perfectly straight trunk. Not too thick, not too thin." Duang stepped back. "You feel the tension, right? Step 1. Choose the exact fall direction." Ling walked a full circle, studying it super carefully, then confidently pointed south toward a clearing. "This way. No other trees, just perfectly flat ground. Completely safe." Duang gave a proud thumbs up. "Perfect choice." Ling took a deep breath, gripped his axe, dropped into a wide stance, and swung. His first dramatic chop landed slightly off-center. "Sink your waist half an inch more." Duang instantly called out. "Keep your wrist perfectly steady. Drive the force right into the center." Ling quickly adjusted and kept on chopping. Blow by blow, he found his rhythm. The triangular notch took shape. Perfect depth. Perfect angle. I crouched beside him, clearing chips, and quietly encouraging our friend. Take your time, no rush. Then we set the saw. Ling leading, me assisting. Dwang stayed right there, coaching every stroke. Use even pressure. Match the rhythm. Do not jerk it. Sweat beaded on Ling's forehead. His arms started shaking, but he bravely kept going, following instructions completely to the letter. I matched his exact pace, not pulling ahead or dragging behind, letting him feel totally in control. It took the whole afternoon. By the time the massive trunk cracked and fell exactly where Ling aimed, the daily quitting bell was literally about to ring. He doubled over the saw, gasping for air, but his face showed pure joy. Dwang was truly, genuinely impressed. First time leading, and you nailed every step. Direction, notch, so work. All incredibly solid. You are 10 times better than I was when I started. Just a few more days, and you will be solo. Ling wiped his forehead, beaming happily. Only because you taught me so well, and Mun backed me up. I patted his arm. You earned it. All you. One single tree in an entire afternoon. Definitely super slow. But Ling truly learned the craft from start to finish. And that knowledge was absolutely worth more than any number of felled trees. Next morning, Ling showed up, practically buzzing with eager energy. After yesterday's epic breakthrough as lead man, he was so ready to prove himself. But Dwang pulled him aside with a sly grin and lowered his voice. Easy, there, no need to rush. We are a 3-man team now. 2 trees a day is plenty to hit our guaranteed work points. The rest of the time, we rest, we chat, and we just take it easy. During this training period, it does not matter if we cut 2 trees or 20. The pay is exactly the same, so why overwork ourselves? Ling's eyes went wide, then he grinned. I shrugged. And trust me, you and I are gonna love this hilarious new plan. Stick with me here. 2 trees. Sounded perfectly fine. That was our strategy. We picked 2 medium larchies and just took our sweet time. Ling took point, picking the fall angle super carefully. He chopped the notch nice and slow. I squatted nearby, clearing wood chips and passing him water. Dwang just leaned back, smoking, tossing out random tips right between his juicy village gossip. We swapped out, not one single drop of sweat. By sundown, we had 2 perfectly chopped trees ready to go. Meanwhile, every other squad out there was absolutely grinding. Teenagers were knocking down a dozen trees a day, raking in 8 or 9 work points for every single guy. The locals were way faster, easily grabbing 10 or 12 points daily. Our sad little 2 trees looked completely ridiculous on that official score sheet. Chin Hung totally noticed. Of course, he was chilling by a snowbank with his usual crew, and I heard him loud and clear from miles away. 2 trees all day for 3 guys? That is so pathetic. Honestly, even a total rookie does way better. His friend immediately jumped in, so glad they finally left the camp. At least we are not paying for their extra meals anymore. Dwang just snorted and blew a smoke ring. Ling rolled his eyes. I ignored them entirely. We were way too comfortable. Pay close attention here. Our points were locked in. Their whining meant nothing. This became our exact routine until training ended. Every single morning, Dwang wandered the woods, chose 2 trees, and waved us down. Just those 2. Same old rules. Absolutely zero heroics. Ling would step up. I would assist. Dwang? He just supervised from his super comfortable little tree stump, smoking and dropping village gossip. Who was marrying off their daughter, how the new house build was going, and whatever wild drama old Wong and his chickens got into lately. We just kept an easy rhythm. When his arms got heavy, we stopped for water. Once Dwang ran completely out of rumors, we just sat and ate in the sun. Naturally, other groups mocked us. Slacking off again, Dwang just grinned. Points are points. Why break my back for the exact same reward? Ling just nodded happily through a giant mouthful of cornbread. I kept my head down over my stew and stayed quiet. Every evening, our tiny stack of 2 trees looked incredibly sad compared to everyone else. But we always walked home totally relaxed, rested, and happy. You and I know that feeling, right? Zero exhaustion, full points in our pockets. Let them talk all they want. We won. On the final day of training, team leader Lou walked over to drop the news himself. Starting tomorrow, the free points are gone for good. Your points rely 100% on your actual hustle. More trees equals more points. Chop less, you get less. Those points dictate your monthly food rations, so it is all on your shoulders now. I nodded. Understood? Ling agreed immediately. I'm going to work hard. Getting enough food is totally fine by me. Lu turned right to Duang. What is your team plan? Duang stepped right up. Mu Yun and I are teaming up. We already figured it all out, and Duang totally had Ling covered too. I matched him with Wang Shi from town. Great guy. Super reliable. Just slightly slower than the top workers, which is why nobody else wanted to team up with him. But he is honestly plenty fast enough for licking. He waved it off cheerfully. Totally fine by me. I'm not competing against anybody. Just eating is enough. Lu nodded, looking satisfied, and went off to check the others. That night, I finally prepped for the real deal. I kneaded dough and steamed a massive tray of huge fluffy buns. White flour mixed with rich cornmeal, heavy and super filling. Next morning, way before dawn, I stood by that stove and inhaled 6 of them straight. Not a single crumb left behind. Warm food in my stomach, the cold banished. Today was the first day that actually mattered. Training wheels were off. Every single tree counted. I grabbed my gear and hiked up North Mountain. Duang was already waiting, and for the first time ever, he was not just lounging on some random stump with his smoking pipe. He stood up straight, eyes scanning the woods. All business. The totally lazy, easygoing Duang from the past 10 days completely vanished. He spotted me, his voice sharp and locked in. Today, we put in the real work. Slacking time is over. Let us go. We chose 2 massive larches standing right together, both around 40 centimeters thick. Solid wood. Duang pointed straight west toward the big clearing. Angle confirmed. I grabbed the axe. Trust me, you're about to see our real power.